I am so happy to see you. Jackie, how are you? Girl, how did you get in here so fast? You are quick. I absolutely love it. Well, I am wondering what is going on in Minneapolis right now. I see that it looks like people are just packed all over the highway waiting for something to happen. And I don't know what it is, but they're there. And so that's a trip. Jackie, how did you do that? You are quick, sister. I think you are amazing. I think you are amazing. So, yeah, I'm just trying to understand what's going on out there right now. I don't get it. I don't just doing a lot of crazy stuff. Let's see. She says Americans' problems are not political, and that means there are no solutions except one, and that is our Father. I think so. I really do. So right now, I'm just really tripping because I'm sitting here and I was looking and I saw all these people packed on the highway in Minneapolis. Are you guys aware of what's going on? Yes, Second Chronicles 7:14. Are you guys aware of what's happening right now? I am like, they're literally sitting out there packed on the highway waiting for something to happen. What? I have no clue because yeah, seems a bit orchestrated. So it's not like, I don't know. I see all these people just packed out there hanging out on the highway, making all kind of ruckus. I've seen a couple of people get arrested, but I tell you right now, Minneapolis does not look like they're playing. They look like they got a lot of mixture of different um, authoritative bodies out there right now. So I saw a little military uniform. I saw the regular police. I saw all kinds of people. But do you know that there have been some unique things going on? Um, where am I? Where are you? I am new here. I'm here, but I'm in my PJs. So that's why you get to see my avatar for now. Um, but I will be physically here live in about a few days. And so, but I'm here. So I'm just looking at everything as the way that it's going on right now. And I tell you honestly, it just looks as if it reminds me of one of those old movies. How are anybody in the chat old movie buff? If you are an old movie buff, then you know the kind of movies that we had back in the 70s. I remember the Omega Man, all of those movies. Oh, and how about Soylent Green? That's the kind of stuff that's going on right now. You know what I mean? That is the kind of stuff that's going on right now. It reminds me of the movie Soylent Green. It reminds me of Omega Man. Charlton Heston, he did a lot of movies back in the day. And some of them, when I look back on them, they were all pretty apocalyptic in nature. Some of the movies that he did back then. Um, Way before that, 45, absolutely, Jackie. Yes, remember Soylent Green? Soylent Green was something else. And then they had to call in the scoops. But you know what's so amazing with humans? We so desperately seek to have somebody else to lead and guide us that in all of those movies, that looks like it was one of the major common core things that everybody was trying to find somebody to lead them, to give them the best solutions. And so they would believe these different people and ended up being the, different folks would have very bad ideas, very bad medicines, very bad, solutions to the problems. And they ended up eating all kinds of stuff they weren't supposed to, as in the case with Soylent Green. Just recently, I watched 1984. And when I watched 1984, there's like several different versions of that movie. Did you guys know that? 1984 has several different versions, and I didn't know that until I went and looked it up. I happened upon one that I ended up purchasing, and that 1984, I got it on Prime. And that one was a bit long. It was good, but it was an older one. And then I found an even older one from like the 60s or something, 60s, late 60s. And it was about 45 minutes. And when I tell you it just cut to the chase and got right to the nitty gritty of things, that one got right to the nitty gritty of things. And so that one I enjoyed. But yes, 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 1984. Harris, D. Harris, yes, it is. But you know what, you guys, Mickey and D. Harris, they are very dark, but you know what? It seems like those nefarious tales are what we grew up knowing about. You know what I mean? Those movies and those books or whatnot. We knew about them then, but we just never paid any attention. We could always turn on the Saturday movie after, Saturday TV after cleaning up the house and chill or whatever, but we'd maybe watch Cowboys and Indians. I know my brothers and I, we watched a lot of Cowboys and Indians. But some of those movies we would just pass, we wouldn't really focus on them. Then after we go back and we watch them, do you realize that that is a trip? Because now we go back and we're like, oh my gosh, I had no clue that this was that deep, that it was that crazy. You know what I mean? And so we just don't know. We just didn't know. We didn't know because we were so busy living life. But now as we've gotten older, people can tell us, you know, you know, just like she just said, back all the way past, in the 40s, there were movies. That's what Jackie Koo just said. There were old movies back then that would tell you about exactly Mickey, exactly D. Harris. It's like hindsight is always perfect vision. And so I just am looking at all of these things. And while I was looking at, I think it's Unicorn Has a Live, and these young guys are really good. Unicorn, they go out live. They go right there, boots on the ground. No matter what city or state it is, they're there in that local area where they are. Minneapolis, they're in that area, I should say. And they go right there live, and they got their cameras out there, and they're looking at everybody, and they're checking out everything. And I was on their live a few seconds ago, just glancing, just to get a bird's eye view of what was happening there. And all of a sudden, I got this flash of one of those old movies. And that's what that reminded me of. I said, Father, we are really acting out this art. It's like art, well, what is it? Life imitating art in this case. Hey, Demita, I'm going to put a link in there for you. Hold on a second. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a hot mess. What's really going on? So right now, it would appear that across the United States that people are waiting for those numbers to come in so that they can react or respond. Lula Bell, hey. Um, so that they can react. Mike, I didn't see you walk in here. Hello, greetings from Fort Worth, Texas. Um, it's like they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know what I mean? It's like these people have all mobilized, you guys. They are waiting for something. And that is such a sad thing. There's a story that's coming out of Michigan right now that basically stated that there was a GOP candidate who only had 2 votes tallied for him. And they realized today that there was a problem with the voting machines in 31 counties in Michigan, and that these machines all had the same, obviously, the software, and they actually, I did a little research after I read the story, and they voted to approve this particular company. I think it's Election Solutions, but I've got the clip in my notes here, and I'll give it to you guys in a few minutes. But anyway, they adopted this company last year, about October 11th of 2019, and this company in Michigan is the one who's responsible for all of these voting machines, only giving 2 votes to this guy. One of the people there one of the legislators in Michigan said, "Hey, I know of 6 family members alone who voted for him. So clearly there's something wrong." Well, lo and behold, they got to doing a little digging. They got to looking around a little bit and plundering, and they found out that, yeah, there's a software issue. This company, who's responsible for giving them all the voting machines there, had a problem. Only 2 votes tallied for this gentleman. Now, here's the broader picture, right? They're announcing that it was this guy with only 2 votes that was tallied, but it's not isolated, you guys. It can't be. How can it just be isolated to him? Think about that. You see what I mean? We're dealing with it in a finite level when we're just reading that story and we're just looking at this one guy, I believe his name is Bergman, excuse me, that he only got 2 votes. And now they're recounting about 16,000 ballots at the time that the story was printed. And that was about 4:30 this afternoon, or maybe even earlier. But there were 16,000 ballots that they had already combed through. This is a hot rump mess, because you automatically know that if this cat was messed around with on his votes, how many other people, whether it be for, local or whatever, or even the president, we got to go there, you guys. We got to go. We can't not overstate the obvious. Okay. There's as Black Spring and I were saying the other night, there are some flies in the buttermilk. Exactly, D. Harris. So much fraud, and it does sound like issues all over the place. R. Jones, and yes, I do too. Remember, I was trying to get you guys on there last night. I was like, but then I thought about it afterwards. I was like, oh my God, when he came out, Jackie Koo, I had to go and just come on there myself. Okay. There's a recount going on in Arizona as we speak, and they are predicting that Trump will come out with a win. Well, you know what? I would just say this, Demita. Let me get my tail up and get you on here right quick, because I sent that link to you, and I know that I'm not sure if it expired or what happened, but I know that I was waiting. But here's the deal, you guys, there are people that are praying all over the place. You know why? Because I think some people woke up and realized, I don't think I want what I thought I wanted. That's what a lot of people are probably realizing. And then not only that, you've got to look at the fact that, hey, this thing is going to get held up, because it does not look like Trump is going to go down without a fight. You know what I'm saying? It just does not look like he's going to go down without a fight. And I don't think I blame him. You know what I'm saying? I don't think, I know I wouldn't. I would want to box until I couldn't box no more. You feel me? I would be swinging, or what we used to say back in the day, I'd be windmilling. You know, you remember the people who used to fight in the middle of the school ground back in the 70s. You get a few girls that would start fighting, and you'd be running out of the way because you don't want to get hit by these people, these cuckoos fighting in the middle of the playground. But they would close their eyes and start swinging their arms, just going crazy. I'd be windmilling too. So, and as much as I am so ashamed of everything that's going on here in the United States, where people are really looking at us like, wow, what is going on? I would have to say that, yes, I would hope that whomever felt as if the numbers were messed up, or the account that I just shared with you that's going on in Michigan, that whomever was bold enough to even run would say, hey, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. And yeah, I do want you to recount that, because it is obvious that there is something wrong. You know what I mean? It's something wrong. And so, with that in mind, they are standing at the ready right now. It is 23:50 here Central Time. So these folks are standing at the ready in Minneapolis, and as Demita said, several other areas all over the United States. And I tell you what, is you guys, hey, listen, for the 24 of us that are listening right now, please make sure y'all got your water. Here's the thing, you don't want to be afraid, right? No, you don't, because you don't want to walk in fear, but you should have that wisdom. If you ain't got a couple of extra gallons of water, y'all go get it and just chill. You know what I mean? Get you some water, get you a couple of cans of food, get you a couple of extra of everything that you can. I'm not saying go ham or go cuckoo, but I am saying be prepared, because if it's something crazy and you live in a built up city, you don't want to be going to no store right now because you don't know what's going on. And it's much better to sit back with a nice crackling fire. You know, if you drink a glass of wine, have wine. If you drink Kool-Aid, go get you some Kool-Aid. You know, there ain't nothing wrong with some Kool-Aid. And you put a little sugar in there. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Get you some soda water. Do whatever it is that you do. But sit back in the cut because this is about to be a 1970 song. Step right up, hurry, hurry. Step right up, hurry, hurry, because before the show begins, this is about to be on and popping. Mike said, I'm not sure we can come back from such a theft of an election with the media, TV, radio, newspapers, big pharma, and massive world corporations against us wanting BVB to turn us into the S word. Mike, you are right. And it's Wednesday. It's hump day. Mike, 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 Mike. You guys remember that that commercial with the giant? What was that thing? It was like a camel, and he said hump day. But Mike is right. Mike is right. Rhonda Schultz said, "Oh Lord, our Lord is more powerful than this election. I'm prepared here in California." And you know what, Rhonda? They really did you guys a number. My brother is in California, way up in the mountains, and he said that they cut the line off and closed the door at the 7 o'clock mark. All the people were still in line. He gives an account of them calling it at around 7:45ish because they had not gotten through all the people in this area that he was voting in, right? They called it. They hadn't even gotten all the ballots out of the box, he said. That was his words. He said they hadn't even gotten all the ballots out the box, and here they were calling it. So that's a mess, right? That's a mess, Rhonda. I'm praying for everybody all over the United States. As a matter of fact, I just prayed earlier. Hey, Kathy, I didn't see you come in. I just prayed earlier for D. So I'm praying for everybody, everybody and anybody who clicks in here. You're gonna get prayed for. So if you guys don't want to get prayed for, this is probably not the live for you. This is probably not the channel for y'all. Because as I respond, because I try to hit everybody back when they make a comment on the videos, but as you respond, I do pray for you. So if you don't want to get prayed for, this might not be the chat, this might not be the channel. Right? But yes, right now is the time that we must make sure that we do our due diligence to take heed and make sure that our lamps are trimmed, right? You've got the 10 virgins, you've got the 5 wise, you've got the 5 foolish. And the 5 wise made sure that they had their lamps trimmed and had their oil and they had everything. And even though all 10 of them knew that the bridegroom was coming, only 5 was prepared. And while they all slept and slumbered, the cry came out that the bridegroom is here. And they all got up to go and see him. And when they all got up, there was only 5 that was ready. And the 5 that were not ready, what did they say? Give us of your oil. They said, oh no, so sister, we ain't giving you nothing. You better get on down there to the store and get it from them who sell it, because we can't do nothing for you. And that's exactly what they said. They can't do anything for you. I can't do nothing for you, man. You need $6 for what? Yeah, they said, no, sir. We can't help you. We won't help you. And there's nothing that we can do. And so we have to remember stories like that when we talk about, making sure that we've got our food, making sure that we have our water. I'm coming off of this right now, you guys. Let me turn this off. Ooh. That was cool. I see you, Black Spring. Did you hear that? I had me some music going. I don't know what I was doing. Yeah, we was echoing. Well, what do you say, Black Spring?
Black Spring is I'm still kind of floored by this whole the whole bit. I just don't trust anything that's even coming out. Because your head will spin. I mean the
Mm-hmm.
different the it's just too wide of a it's just too wide of a margin here to me to I can't call anything. I really can't. And I felt that way last night. I thought the same thing that we would go to bed but we would go to bed with one notion and then we would get up and who knows.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't. It seems like we're turning into election week rather than this is we're transforming, right? You've heard that word so many times. Transform America. Well, is this not transformation? Is this not
Mm-hmm.
transforming? I mean, this is my thing is, I just think that I don't know what legally could have been done. I just think that the mass, if you want to call it mass mail out ballots, I think
Mm-hmm.
that that's where it should have ended. I think that's where it should have, if there was any way to argue or any way to get to eliminate the mass ballots going out from the beginning, I think that might have shut some of this wouldn't be happening. Of course, I'm not, and for those of you, I'm not talking about absentee ballots. I'm not talking about the absentee ballots. But I know even in the state of California, they're basically informing you that they got rid of that, so you didn't even have the choice. At least that's the way that I was informed, or
Mm-hmm.
they delayed a response. So I said, I requested an absentee ballot, so where is it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying, but I'm just thinking that if he was against this whole thing, I just don't know why would that be a solution at the 11th hour? You don't make that kind of decision for a process that's kind of messy already. When you just think about the process is kind of messy across the country. None of these poll locations are the same. They're not created equally. They're not managed equally.
Girl.
It's a huge mess. I mean, I've talked about the people that they have working polling stations. You have a margin of error just in the competence of people that are running these polling stations. Whether they don't even know how to locate your name on a printout. Here in California, they no. But then you're the tyrant if you say, I need somebody that can help me find my name based on my last name, not my first name. I it's it's tough. It's tough. I just think that the process is a mess. They needed some level of election reform. Was this the election to do that? No. This wasn't the time.
Well, I know just what you mean. I know just how you feel. But I feel like there is some polling places were not guarded, Jackie said. And I feel like right now there is another shoe that they are waiting to drop. And I believe that a lot of these rough and tough with your Afro puff folks no. You see all my nice little 80s and 90s music references I make?
Aren't they
Mhm.
lovely? They're nice.
Yes. Rub
Nice.
this up with your Afro puffs, child. They in the middle of the streets. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me right now? You better take your tails in the house and get in the bed. They're arresting people by droves. So they are apparently a prize to something that you or I don't know what's going on with, but apparently they do know something. And so, with all of this, there was O'Keefe. I'm not sure if anybody else watches him, but I like him, Project Veritas. He actually had today and I can show you the clip of it. He says, hey, you know what? And it's ironic because listen, it's Michigan too, you guys. Mike, you guys, it's in, yes, Rhonda, I do too. I love it. I love him. Listen, it's in Michigan as well. He found out that somebody there that was a postal worker just dropped a dime and said, hey, there's some massive cheating going on here. And he let it be known. Hey, Demita, let me let you in, soul sister. Here we go. All right. Yeah. So we were just talking about Project Veritas. I got on my PJs. I done told everybody they ain't gonna see me. I'm looking like Carol Burnett. You remember when Carol Burnett used to have that character where she walked around with her hair curlers in her?
Yes.
Child, please. I can't be messing up my beauty. So ain't nobody gonna see me raggedy. But in any case, I digress. But this was important to me because I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on out there? What are they doing? But it is the truth, you guys. It just feels like they are just doing something and they are prepared for something that we don't know about. But in any case, he said that in Michigan, somebody did drop a dime, and he said that they did tell that there was some cheating going on. Now, there was also a place, and you guys in the chat, if you heard of this, tell me what city it was in, because it was so much stuff going on, you guys. There was a city where they said they were not letting the poll workers in. I know you mentioned that earlier, Black Spring, but I saw a clip on, like a passing clip, where they were showing people like being escorted out of a polling place and somebody had a secret cell phone. Did anybody see or hear about that? They were like, yeah, you're a poll watcher, but we're not gonna let you come in here.
I haven't heard about that, but I have been hearing about people using Sharpies and that vote not being counted. This is what happened in New York. I also recently heard that there was some unrest happening in Lower Manhattan in New York. But this is my thing with all of that, right? We know that this is a chess game, and we know that people want to strike up violence. We know that they hire people and they deploy people to kick it off. And then your regular person being emotional about what's happening, they run out too and get mixed up in it. So the best thing for everybody to do is exactly what you said, Lockhart. Stay home. Stay out of it. Express yourself through your words. Don't take to the streets because you're going to get caught up. And at this point in time, I mean, we have to protect our nation, our neighborhoods, our communities, and nobody's asking any questions. So you need to just stay home. And, 2020 has been unbelievable. And we just have to stay in that mindset and not expect what we usually expect, because it's going to be way different. I also have been, people send you things and you go research it. It seems there's a huge recount going on in Arizona. They spoke about it. There's a video, I think I posted it in the chat. It's an extensive video. They're predicting a presidential win. It's that deep with what they're doing as far as recounting, reevaluating. This is speculation, but people are saying that the National Guard has been deployed to certain cities to count these votes. And apparently, I don't know if all this is true, but this is what's floating around. Apparently, the ballots, the mail-in ones, were marked with a watermark to ensure that they are all the same, the valid. And there's a bunch that aren't.
I saw that.
There's also claiming that there's thousands that are, with names of dead people. So we've all heard all of this. I mean, we've seen corruption beyond corruption. We know a lot of things. I mean, 30 years later was an experiment. So it's 20, we don't have 30 years to figure it out. It's getting figured out right now. And I would say that it's the internet that's doing it. Everybody, feels like, oh, the internet is evil. It's this, it's that. Nothing is really evil. It's how people use it. And
Mhm.
one thing about the internet, it has brought people together that wouldn't necessarily know each other or be talking to each other in such a quick pace.
Mhm.
Go back to 9/11, right? That was really still the beginning of the internet when all that happened. People weren't using
Yes.
it as they are using it now.
Yes.
So imagine that happening now. People would have been torn apart, picked it apart,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just exposed the conspiracy. I feel like this is the time that we're in right now, that
Mhm.
lives can't live like they used to. It's not going to take 30 years. It's not going to take two generations and then, oh, well, you got away with it. We're in it right now. So
Mhm.
let's see.
Mhm.
Oh, this Arizona is big. I was watching a live clip, and I know there's a time difference. So they were saying they projected they would have a full count by Friday, but
Mhm.
they come out today.
Mm.
And they broke it down. These it was three, I think, cases of mail-in ballots, and there was one left. And they're like, this
Mm.
could take Trump over the edge and he'll win.
Mm.
I mean, we've all seen it ourselves. Um, it probably could have been close, but the reality is a lot of these states they're claiming were blue. We know they weren't blue.
Yes.
So nobody's going to sit and wait on that and just accept it.
Exactly. Exactly. I know that I have a lot of friends who are still praying. And last night I was praying. And here is what my prayer consisted of. I told you guys last night. My thing is, you know what? Angels of the Lord, go out there and, everything that's not right, reveal it. That's what I was praying, reveal it. I believe that's more powerful than anything, to just give it all to the Most High, give it all to the Father, and say, hey, reveal it. Go out there, reveal it, tear the covers off of it, pull it back, let it be seen, and let it be seen immediately. Let's not let it tarry. Father, don't let it tarry. Let the truth be revealed, and let the truth be revealed now. That has been my prayer, and that's still my prayer. Because here's the deal. It doesn't matter if you vote or not. It doesn't matter who you voted for. You want truth. And that's one thing I can say that everybody has in common, that you would hope that if you spent your time going out there, that you want the truth to come out, right? And that is absolutely right. Sherry J, it is understanding that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but we don't wrestle against anything human. We wrestle against principalities, wickedness, all that stuff that's in high places. And so we got to do battle in the spirit realm in order to see things change in the natural. That's what being a part of the kingdom is. Now, if you are somebody who feels like, hey, I don't think that was cool, and I think I'm going to take up arms and I'm going to go outside, like Demeter was saying, stay in the house. Let me tell you, stay your rump in the house. You may see those people out there and think you want to go add your voices to them that I'm about to show you in Minneapolis, but don't you do it. Those are paid actors. Don't try this at home. Do not get yourself wrapped up in any of that. Sit yourself down, think about it rationally. I'm speaking specifically to the young brothers and sisters that are out there. Don't get wrapped up into that stuff. I see a lot of young kids, a lot of people in their early 20s, mid 20s that are getting wrapped up thinking that this stuff is real that they're seeing. All of that stuff is an illusion. Okay?
I don't mean to laugh, but it's very unfortunate.
Yes. It's a well paid out plan. That's paid. Them people getting paid.
Yes, and
Don't
not to advertise, but there is a website. And the people listening, Google it yourself so you can see for yourself. It's called Crowds on Demand. Google it. Type it in, and you will see that they hire protesters for any event. That's exactly what it says. And there's quite a few more websites just like it. So we wonder, where do these people come from? That's one spot that they actually pay people to go and be protesters.
See what I'm saying? So don't get yourselves wrapped up. You know, I tell I influence and deal with a lot of young people all the time, especially young women. And so when you listen to what their train of thought is, they really are really heavily influenced by the things that they see. And unfortunately, you have a lot of people who will innocently want to walk into something that they think is a peaceful protest. And I'm being very honest. And a lot of these young people don't understand that what you see here is not what you think it is. Don't get yourself wrapped up in it. Now, for us old heads, we already know what to do. And I think that we are all sort of standing on the ready with our, you know, with our swords, and our swords would be the word of God, right? But we are all standing on the ready. Demita is intellectual and intelligent. Black Spring is intellectual and intelligent. But we're all a little tired of what we see going on. And so I think, I think that right now it is so urgent that we realize that these are dangerous times if you're walking around in the natural. But by the same token, you've got to rejoice in one thing, because when we see all these things happening, we got to look up and we got to say, all right, God, it's in your hands. Handle it. Let's see. Mike says, gotta roll. Email is in the chat above. Both sons former military intel analysts. Get with me if you need info or assistance. God's blessings to all. Do you want to come in and chat with us before you go? I hope he hasn't gone. Oh my gosh. I hope that he's still here. Mike, are you still here? Oh, I think we lost him. I would have loved for him to come on in and chat with us for a second. I think he's gone. But that would have been great to hear what he had to say. I know, you know, sometimes you get great people that just stop in and want to say hey and just want to, you know, talk for a couple of seconds and they got to go. But it would have been great to hear what Mike had to say about this topic. Now, you guys, I know the other night when we put the link in the chat, there were a few folks that said, no, I don't want to talk. But listen, you don't have to put your face up. You don't even have to have an avatar. It'll automatically populate a fake one for you. That's just like a little circle, a little disc. And if you want to come and just have something to say, please add what you want to say to the chat. I'll scooch over and get off of the screen and you can come on in. So right now I am putting this link in the chat. Just come on in and give us your feedback. Let us know how you're doing, how your family is doing right now. How are you guys faring through the whole entire piece with the pandemic or the plandemic? Or whatever you choose to call it, that's cool. How are you taking all of this in? Do you find this year has been one blow after another? Do you feel like some of the things that are going on right now are somewhat, you know, quasi, what is it called, Demita? When it's things that are happening to the mind, you guys? I think you guys know what I'm saying. Is it just something that's happening right now and that is affecting you emotionally? The stuff that's going on, are you becoming more exhausted as things are progressing through this year? Did this year take you by storm? So if you have something to say, you guys, please pick that link up, come on in, take a couple of minutes. You can maybe talk 30 seconds if all you want to do is say hallelujah, praise the Lord. There you go. Psychological warfare, Sister Florida. Jackie Cool is in the house and she picked up my telepathy. Anyway, if anybody wants to pick that up, you go right ahead. Demita, what's going on up top right now?
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, I need to, you know what? I'm going to scoot over to my computer and see what new is coming, like as we speak. I just think that we need to stay still and pay attention. Like, and as you said earlier, we're watching both sides, right? We know this is chess. Ultimately, it's about humanity taking a stand. It's putting people first. Finally, something interesting happened also November 2nd. Trump actually signed an executive order. I don't know if you saw that. It's called, I think I'm getting it right, the 1776 Constitute. It's something with 1776. But what was very interesting in section 1, it speaks about all that we've been speaking about when it comes to natural law. It used the words natural law, it used God, it used public, and it used power to the people.
Wow.
In section 1, I'm going to dig it up so I can actually read that one part. It's a short executive order, but it's very powerful. It's speaking to the natural law of the people, and then it moves into reforming education, and it's giving power back to the states, the counties, to dictate their own curriculum and tell the truth about history. It's literally saying that. And to me, I'm like, it's always a strategy. You sign this executive order November 2nd, and there's an election on November 3rd.
Blessing.
And there's a continuity. There's a date. Like this must be completed within 2 years. So I'm like, who does that if you're not sure you're going to be around? Who knows? The fact that it's written in is good enough for me because it's a very powerful order, and it's something that people really have been desiring. So I'm going to put myself on pause and I'm going to find it so I can be.
Please do. You know, I think that's the sweet piece, is the fact that and I think that's what frees us up. And you guys know I have to with the three of us. I know you guys already see that I'm the person that does sort of take everything back to the word, because to me, I believe everything is spiritual, because everything starts in the spirit and then it comes into the natural. Somebody asked for my, I believe somebody was asking for my email. Where can we see? That's what she's doing right now, Jackie. She's looking, that's why she said she was scooching over to her computer so that she can get that for us. And I think it's amazing to hear that. But here's the deal, you guys. Everything that we have prayed for our nation, because we prayed in faith, it doesn't matter who God uses to bring that thing into fruition. Don't you understand? So right now, if that's what's been on our heart that we're praying for, that she's sharing with us right now, God used him to do it. You see what I'm saying? God used him to do it. And that's what it's all about. It's all about it. Okay? It's all about, we pray in faith and God allows a human to do this. Now, I believe it's in the book of, is it Malachi? No, is it? Oh, goodness gracious. Prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not pour out a blessing. Right? And then he says that he will allow men to give unto your bosom. Somebody tell me which passage that is. A lot of times I remember scripture ever since I was a little kid, but I can't remember exactly where it came from oftentimes. But I will say this, that yes, that is what he said. He said, pressed down, shaken together, shall men give into your bosom. That's what he said. So those men may not always be people who are walking around with collars on. Not that we trust any of them. Walking around with a bishop's ring. Not that we trust any of them. Walking around, holding a big old book in the Bible. No, it'll be just regular people that he'll put us on their heart. So in this case, if what she's coming up with for us right now is good information, I don't care who it came through. Even Balaam's ass spoke, right? Yeah, I said that. Balaam had a donkey. And Balaam's ass even spoke. So God even used Balaam's ass or donkey to speak. So if he'll do that, he will move things in this earth realm for the good of his people. So if that's the case, honey, I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic because to me that sounds like what we need to be getting ourselves back to. Rhonda Schultz says, I heard a man saying he was getting paid on social media. Who was getting paid on social media? The man was, Rhonda? Was the man getting paid on social media? Tell us about it. Pick up the link, Rhonda. In Great says, watching from Nigeria, it's 7:20 a.m. here. Well, hello, In Great. Welcome. We are glad that you're here from Nigeria. And I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. In Nigeria, yes. Okay, so Cherie J says, Luke 6:38, give and it shall be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over shall men give into your bosom. Here's something funny. That passage was Old Testament all while I grew up. Pressed down, shaken together, running over shall men give into your bosom. That's a trip. And I say that way because when I was a little girl, we used to be in these little competitions that were statewide in California. It was that long ago. Boom, 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 boom. And we used to have to remember scriptures, and that's a trip right there. But anyway, with all that said, it is so good to see that Rhonda's in the chat. It is so good to see Mr. Ingrate is in the chat. It is, yes, it is good vibes. And we are happy that everybody is here. And it's in the New Testament too. Thank you, Princess. I appreciate you, Cherie J. Thank you, girl. Because I was about to say, now wait a minute. Am I losing it? But that does happen though. You do have some Old Testament scriptures that are referenced, like Daniel, for Daniel and all that good stuff is referenced. You'll see some of that stuff coming back up in Revelation, right? You'll see some Ezekiel, and you'll see it referenced over in Matthew, where the Messiah, where Yeshua is speaking. So yes, thank you very much, my sister. So go ahead, sister. Did you find anything else about that?
I did. I have it right here. So it's entitled The Executive Order on Establishing the President's Advisory 1776 Commission. The section 1, the purpose, this is what it states. It says, the American founding envisioned a political order in harmony with the design of the laws of nature and of nature's God, seeing the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as embodied in and sanctioned by natural law and its traditions. It moves on to say, the formation of a republic around these principles marked a clear departure from previous forms of government, securing rights through a form of government that derives its legitimate power from the consent of the governed. Throughout its national life, our republic's exploration of the full meaning of these principles has led it through the ratification of a constitution, civil war, the abolition of slavery, Reconstruction, and a series of domestic crises and world conflicts. Those events establish a clear historical record of the exceptional nation dedicated to the ideas and ideals of its founding. And then it goes on to talk about reforming education, talking about history, respecting everyone in America. It mentions Abraham Lincoln to Martin Luther King, the fellowship of goodwill, generosity of heart, shared principles, and the inclusive vision of the future. It's very detailed. It's the restoration of the American education, grounded in the principles of the founding, of our founding fathers. Some people might have an issue with that, but when you really understand that in law, the Constitution was created to govern the leaders, not the people. The people are governed by natural law. And that's what's so important about this, that it brings that back into the front. And it specifically says here that the people, the government has power from the consent of the governed. That would be us. And we're not doing that right now. It's reverse. They're telling us what to do. I'm scanning through it now. The restoration of history, the federal government, and protecting the role of the federal government is to protect and preserve state and local control over the curriculum, program of instruction, administration, and personnel of educational institutions, schools, and systems. It rejects the Common Core curriculum.
Praise God from on high.
Yes.
Take a pause and tell us, what is the name of this? Because a lot of people in the chat want to know. And Demita, I'm telling you guys, you talk about some research between Demita and Black Spring, they gonna get you right. So what is the name of that? Can you type it in the chat?
Yes.
Please finish reading. Go ahead, finish going. That's good stuff.
Let's see, without hero, we talk about life and liberty, unifying in our history. We're not trying to destroy the history. Let me get to this piece about, we went through the rejection of Common Core. We're going to talk about, there's also saying within here that this will be done within 120 days of the date of this order. Under the Secretary of Education, this will be established in the Department of Education with the President's Advisory 1776 Commission. So jobs are being created here. The commission shall be composed of not more than 20 members who shall be appointed by the President. The members will serve for 2 years and shall not be removed, except for negligence of duty. It may include individuals outside the federal government, which it should. They list the positions, and once they get started, they have 1 year from the date of this order to show some results. So this is like in quick speed. This is just not going to be written and left on a shelf. There's deadlines. What else is it telling us here? I wanted to read, there was a section. I'm going to read this. The formation of a republic around these principles marked a clear departure. I read that part. Throughout its national life, our republic's exploration of the full meaning of these principles has led it through the ratification of a constitution, Civil War, the abolishment of slavery. I read that to you already. There was something I wanted to read coming forth about the re-education. I'm getting there. Here, the recent attacks on our founding have highlighted America's history related to race. These one-sided and divisive accounts too often ignore or fail to properly honor and recollect the great legacy of the American national experience, our country's valiant and successful effort to shake off the curse of slavery and to use the lessons of that struggle to guide our work toward equal rights for all citizens in the present. I thought that was very powerful, that it was an intellectual approach to the atrocities of slavery. It was not divisive because it included everyone.
That's right.
Not all white people were slave owners. And there were some slave owners who were Black.
That's right.
So we're talking about the atrocity of slavery and who suffered from it all, and that it is part of our history and is something that we need to overcome. but it's not something that we need to dwell on. Let it become a weapon. Let it divide us. We need to struggle with the results of it and get through it to equalize. Let me change that word because I don't like that. But we want to realize what it was and move
Yes.
on together.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? It's like you're in a relationship, you have a family member and you get in a big fight, right? And
Mhm.
you hate them. But at
Mhm.
some point, you have to release the hate because the hate is only hurting you.
Mhm.
And you have to move on. And you have to see people in the present for who they are. This line right here where it says, let's make a successful effort to shake off the curse of slavery. It's a curse for all of us.
Come on,
For those
girl.
who were slaves, those who were slave owners, and to use the lessons of that struggle to guide our work toward equal rights for all citizens in the present. That means right now. You know, slavery was an atrocity. And I think that we've been guided to live in the struggle, in the present. And then therefore we can't live in the future when we can't deal with the past properly and leave it where it is and then continue to move on. This is powerful to me.
This
And
is powerful.
I'll say it and then I'll type it again in the chat. But the order, when you go to research it, Executive Order on Establishing the President's Advisory 1776 Commission, and it was issued November 2nd, 2020.
Amen, amen, amen. You guys, this is so powerful. It just feels so awesome. And I know that there's going to be some naysayers out there that say, well, I hope it could happen, or well, this and that. And I get that, you guys, but at least it is a beginning. It is a beginning. And this is, let's be honest, this is the first time that I have heard a seated president say this and then put quill and paper together, to use an old term, okay? To put quill and paper together, that is a powerful thing. To see that this unbelievable thing has been done and has been written. And I am so happy that it has been done. It does not matter who wrote it. It does not matter who did it. It's the fact that it's done. But it does speak to the intent of the individual who wrote it, and look at the hour that it was written. Again, it doesn't matter when, but it's the fact that it was done. Demita, blessings, blessings, blessings to you, sister, for bringing that to us. If you can clip that link and just stick it in there as a post so that our brothers and sisters in the chat can look at that, because that gives us some hope. You know what I'm saying? It really does. Thank you. God bless you, sis.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Now I'm going to do this thingy.
That's good news, you guys. I mean, I wish I had a little applause button here. I could just clap, 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 because to me, that's good news. It is good news, and I don't care about what's going on around. These are the little peaks through how you see the forest, but then all of a sudden you see some sunshine coming through those leaves as you're walking, that's getting you to the exit of the forest. If you've been lost in it, I'm sure a lot of us have gone to the forest, but before you get out, you can see the little breaks of light coming through. That to me is one of those lights that has the potential to move mountains. And he gave it timelines. Right? He gave it timelines. He gave it a start point. He gave it a ending point. He also put in some information that says, hey, if you ain't doing your gig, then this is going to happen. But this is the amount of time that we are giving for this to come to fruition. So I'm going to say, thank you, God. Thank you, Father. You know what I'm saying? No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that is a moot point at this point, because anytime a president has written any executive orders, to include Barack Obama, okay, he wrote one of his last executive orders was literally the day before he left office, right? They can write them, and when they write them, they have a start date, they have a stop date, unless the new president coming in makes an executive order to rescind it, to my knowledge. And I got two people here that love the Constitution. Then am I right in that, Black Spring? If they put one in effect before they leave, it's there, unless somebody rescinds it because it was an executive order. Is that correct?
I think that's correct. I think that's correct. I mean, I have my, I don't know, I have my qualms about executive orders, but I think that's correct.
Okay, you can't just throw that bone out there and not share it. you got to come with that one, soul sister. What do you mean?
Well,
Tell me about that.
This is just plain speak language that I'm actually offering here. It's just, I think that sometimes executive orders are band-aids, and I think that sometimes, you know, it leaves the room. It actually, you know, I think there can be more leverage to, you know, to lose something. Or, you know, we've seen things like the DACA executive orders and those, you know, those issues. But I just think that I'm not a fan of executive orders, but I think it's better when it can be done when the powers of the Congress actually work, when there is some checks and balances.
Okay.
But I'm not saying, I know that some things won't come to pass if, you know, if it's not used at times, but that's just, you know, that's just my perspective.
Well, let me just say this, because you know what we love to do here, and I thought Kim was coming, because Kim and I, we have that little thing where we just go back and forth with each other sometimes, and we love it. We love that, because I call Kim, our relationship, Kim Roberts and I call it the Siskel and Ebert, because we both love movies. In this case, we both love America. But what I call our relationship is the Siskel and Ebert. So here's what I'm going to say to what you just said. I understand that, and I'm glad you said it, because there's going to be people who watch this on the replay, and they're going to probably have the same mindset that you have. That's one thing that I like about our panel here with the four of us women on this channel. Excuse me, is that we do have differing viewpoints, but iron sharpens iron. So here's what I'm going to say to that. I say to what you said, I hear you, I understand, and I feel what you're saying. But here is another good piece of that. He did it.
Yes.
You feel me?
Yes.
He did it. And wait a minute, because here's what I gotta say. I know you're gonna agree with this. We had a black cat, or one who we thought was black, or one who looked like us, and never picked up a pen to do anything for us, unless, of course, you had fairy dust floating around your head and you like girls and you's a girl. I'm just going to straight up say that, right? I'm going to be honest. And for people that get offended by what I just said, I'm sorry, but look it up. It's the truth. He looked like us, but did nothing for us. This is a cat. Like I said, it don't matter who did it. He did it. It was done. It's written. It has a start date, a stop date. Some can be, as Flavio said, okay, some can be, some can't. He said a new president can rescind any executive order. That's what Flavio just said. But the point is, this cat did it. And there's a lot of other people who didn't. Now, see, I've always felt like the whole Voting Rights Act piece has always bothered me, because why not just have it done and make it law? Why somebody got to always come behind somebody else and, you know, write it in? Okay, yeah, look at me, I'm signing it this year. No, brother, you don't need to sign it. Go ahead on and make that law, and let's wipe that off our slate, wipe that off our to-do list, or your bucket list, depending on how old the seated president is, and keep it pushing. So that's what I say, and I'm glad that you said that way, Black Spring, because believe it or not, there are people who feel that way. Demita, what do you say?
I feel like, you know, of the awareness of the people, now that we know that it exists, it's our job to make it happen. It's no longer do we sit back and say, well, you know, he just wrote it. They're not really going to do anything. So, okay, they won't if we don't make them. So we know about it. So we need to address it. That's the other piece that has, we've forgotten about because, we're living our lives. We got a lot going on. We don't need another thing to do. We really do want to trust our leaders and have them do the job for us. But as we see, over the years, people are people. They're vulnerable and they can be turned. And that's what's happening in our government. We've trusted them, and these people have aligned with other people outside of our government, being promised whatever, wealth, extra lives, whatever it is. But obviously it's working to just, take an entire nation and turn it into something else. So, I think we have to take a positive view at what's happening because we have been so conditioned to doubt. And we need to read this order and feel empowered as people and say, yes, this is what I needed. This is what I wanted. And so my job is to remind these people, this is what you wrote, and I need to see the results. We do have the power to ask for that.
So now, Demita, this goes right in line with what you were saying last week in our live visit, where you were basically saying that it's up to us to hold them accountable. So this takes us back to what you were saying about accountability, right? Remember last week when you were talking about accountability? I think it was last week, where you were basically saying, yeah. So go ahead and expound on that, because this is right in line with what you were just talking about.
Yes, the accountability piece, that's the tough piece, right? To get across to people, because it's not always easy to be accountable. It's having courage and stepping up and doing the right thing. So we have to do that part for ourselves. So whatever we're saying the government isn't doing, we have to turn it around and say, what am I not doing to ensure that they do this for me? Because it's a full circle. We can't take someone and throw them out into the crowd and expect them to do everything our way without having any further communication with them. So when I was talking about the assemblies, that's all it is. It's just people in their communities establishing a legitimate force in conjunction with the laws. And all they're doing is ensuring that the leaders in their community, and it goes all the way up to the president, are upholding their oath of office and being accountable to the people. And that, frankly, hinders all these lobbyists and all these other people that can come through the back door and promise your mayor this and that. If they, declare this area residential and commercial and move the people out, it stops those kind of things, because the people are aware. Perception and awareness is powerful. If your perception is off, if you're unaware, then you could be taken advantage of. This particular order, and all of them, including the child trafficking and human trafficking order that was signed January.
Save that. Tell us about that.
Let me get you the exact title of that one. That was passed January 2020. I'm going to look it up right now.
And I think that it's important.
Yes, and this is what led me to this is, all the talk about what Trump isn't doing. And I'm like, let me just see for myself. This particular one is called Executive Order on Combating Human Trafficking and Online Child Exploitation in the United States. That's powerful. There's orders and laws against human trafficking and child exploitation, but never this one so specific, and specific about the United States, and specific about online. Because a lot of the child trafficking and human trafficking has moved online because it's easier. Just as I was telling you, the internet has become easy for us to communicate. and it comes easy for criminals to communicate as well. So this is addressing the gap that we have now. We have online trafficking. It's not just trafficking in the street. And laws are so particular, right? If you don't say online, then online is not illegal then. You didn't write anything to say it wasn't. So now it's here. This was written January 31st, 2020, and shortly after COVID hit. I don't think it's a coincidence.
I don't think it's a coincidence.
Then you have
It's a coincidence either.
No. You have Epstein. You have it all. You have Hillary's laptops, emails, whatever. So now you might have been trafficking kids in the past, and now you put your business online. You've gotten away with it in the past, but now you're online. So we have another way to take it down. And now we have a laptop.
You guys, do me a big favor.
And this section.
I have to say this right quick, Demita, because you're saying some buzzwords, and what'll happen is the algorithm will start to do certain things to us. So for everybody who's in the chat, if you haven't already done so, please click that like button, because what it does is it lets the algorithm know we are all in one accord here. I know that sounds crazy, but that is what we've got to do. We've got to hit, if you hit that like, I'm not begging for likes, but I do think that if we start that, it will prevent us from buffering and other things. You'll notice that when you're in a live chat and there are certain buzzwords that happen, it picks it up and you'll notice it start to twirl. So if you hit the like button, it generally deters that and it sort of goes away and goes on and minds its own business. But this is a topic that we need to talk about, and it needs to be addressed. And it's great to talk about it now. You guys that have followed this channel for any length of time, you already know that as a child, I was raped, I was molested. I have put on my channel the gentleman who was the guy who did those things to me, one of the people who did those things to me. I've been very forthcoming and very honest and very transparent about my past and my history as it relates to this topic. So I believe that it is a topic that has been swept under the rug here. And I do understand that this is one of the only presidents who has dealt with this topic. Okay, let's just be fair. Let's be honest. Let's be real. He has. We know that the one ship that was in California for that length of time at the top of the whole Wuhan thing wiggle, the Wuhan wiggle, excuse me, that situation, that particular ship was there specifically, as he said publicly, that ship was not there for COVID patients. That ship was there specifically to help those children and to remove those people, adults, male, female, women, and babies and kids, to be rescued primarily. And so even though there's a lot of things that we could say are bad about him, with every human being, there are good things, there are bad things. You cannot, because you feel a certain way about a person, take away the good that they've done. You know, the way they lambaste people socially is they take away all the things that they've ever done. If the cat did one thing bad and he played football for a college, they go in there and snatch his Heisman out. They go up there, if you got a Grammy and you was a really good cat and they don't like it, now they're gonna take your Grammy from you. We can't do that. We have to see the good that the person's done, call it what it is, you know, pray for the stuff that they got to correct, and we keep it pushing. That's our responsibility. Go ahead, Demita. Thank you so much for you guys listening to that.
I need to plug in my phone. The charger's going down.
It's going down. I told you guys, everything you guys say tonight, I'm a pull up a rap song. It's going down. Give me in, going down. Okay, well, whatever. If my daughter again was here, she'd be saying, "Mama, stop, stop." While you do that, Demita, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up this video so you guys can see this. If you don't mind, that's cool with you. So that'll give you a little chance to segue into what it is that you're doing. And again, you guys, this is just a clip of what was going on earlier. I'm not even sure. I'm gonna go ahead and, if this person is still alive, because this is a clip of a live video, if this cat is still live, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the end of his stream to see what's going on right now, maybe sort of backtrack it a little bit. Are you coming from Minnesota? Yeah, that's what this live is going to be coming from. Yes. Yes. Let me hit it right here. All right. You guys can see it. Now what I'm going to do is go all the way here. I'm going to go all the way to the end to see where they are right now. Okay, he's over, but let's come here and let's follow from, let's say, this midpoint there. I think that'll give us a good idea of what's shaking or what was shaking. Hello. What?
So this is a DC.
Minneapolis.
Wow.
This is Unicorn Riot, you guys. They're located right here on YouTube. Please check them out. They do exceptional streams. You know this is organized because the music in the background, that's an actual system that somebody's playing that on. That's not no radio. So you know this is organized. This has got a lot of money behind it. Yes. So this is money. This is a lot of money that's out there. I love Unicorn. I love Unicorn Riots. You guys, if you're not already subscribed to them, please go and subscribe.
Yeah, this looks staged to me.
Yeah, it is, Robin.
This is supposed to be in DC.
No, this is in Minneapolis.
And
Here, we're gonna
what
go
are they
ahead
saying?
and I don't
They're
want a
getting ready
copyright
for a
strike.
riot?
Well, I don't want a copyright strike, so I'm gonna let his stuff alone. But I do like Andy's work. I do like this channel's work. I do appreciate the fact that they are local. You guys in the chat, they're in the Minneapolis area, right? St. Paul and all that stuff. And the thing about them is that they're always like right there on the ground. And I love that about them. Now, here's the deal. Yes, that is staged. And that's why we had to keep saying, that's why I said earlier on, you know what, don't do this at home because you just might get yourself in some trouble. These people are paid for this. This is what they're doing. Now, that was a freeway. That's what we call it in California, a freeway. All right. All right. That was a highway that they had blocked. And so one thing is a little biased about the way he said that, oh, well, and the police came in there and they gang busted or they did this or that. Yo, get off the freeway. They're waiting for something. And what time is it here? Okay, so Central, it's 12:55 a.m. I guarantee you around old Doc 30, something gonna go off. I don't know, you guys. What do you think? Ladies, what do you guys think? Black Spring, what do you think? Black Spring, you just over it, ain't you, mama?
No. I pressed the button and nothing was happening. But yes, I do think that they are. I do think that they're planning. They're planning things all over the place. Is what I think. Some people call it false flags. They don't know what they're going to do, but they're planning something. Yeah, and that's why I was thinking, maybe it was before I realized it was Minneapolis instead of DC. I was just thinking, okay, so this is no non-scalable walls here. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that are planned, and of course, I think as Demita mentioned earlier, that there are about 16 states have already called in some level of their National Guards. I don't know. I mean, I think Biden was making people nervous last night. The way when I think maybe when he won, when one state was called for him, and yeah, there's just something. It's just I have an eerie, unsettling feeling about all of this, and it's not good. It's not going to end well. And did Demita say she doesn't hear me? Can you hear me now?
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you good. Oh, that's it. That's the name of the channel, Jackie Koo. It's actually the Unicorn. It's actually Unicorn Channel. And you guys, I'm gonna just tell you right now that that heavy thickness that you guys all can possibly say that you feel in the air, that means it's time for you guys to get someplace of your own, on your own, whether it's 10, 15, 20 minutes or however long you feel led to. When you feel that thickness, and I'm sure a lot of you guys already noticed in the chat, because this chat is all the way live. They always on it. Get someplace and pray. That's what that thickness and that heaviness feels. Whatever we feel that, whether we want to pray, like I said, 5, 10 minutes, it doesn't matter what it is. We get someplace and we pray, and the Holy Spirit will lift that off of us. We'll give it to him, and he will move on our behalf when we do that. Now, Robin says, don't worry. Martial law will take them all out, clean and swift. Child trafficking, going to be hard to learn who was involved. It's going to be hard to learn. Well, I think they already know, because I'm going to tell you, in as much as we see all of this technology and stuff going on right now, and I truly and honestly believe that it's a technocracy that they're attempting to make in this country right now, because that's what AI is. AI is a part of the BEA, you know what? And so because of that, that's what I believe it's headed to. It's a part of the BEA, you know what? And that's just the truth. David Harris, I love you. I have heard a rumor that the National Guard are counting and verifying ballots. Ballot papers are especially marked with watermarks. Yes, you're right, David. That's exactly what Demita shared with us earlier when she first came on. But how are you, David Harris? Do you want to come and talk to us tonight? I'm going to put the link in here for you. You got to come and say something, please. Here's the link. All you got to do is click that link right there, and you can come and talk. Just give me 2 minutes of that wonderful voice. That's all I need to take me over for this weekend that's coming. Anyway, Yeah, that is exactly right. We heard that same awesome bit of information come from Demita earlier this evening. And we are happy. I'm very glad. I'm very happy. When I actually saw the watermark situation, they stated that it was in August of this year, is what I saw. When you mentioned it, Demita, I know that I read, because I read a whole bunch of news stories. Some I present, some I don't. I actually saw that one on Twitter, and Monty, the Monograph channel, had retweeted it on his channel, on his Twitter page. Some other lady had mentioned it. When you said it, I believed it. And it wasn't that I didn't believe it with him, it's that I thought, oh, that would be nice. But when you say it, I believe it because I know you. How about that? Right? Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing?
Yes.
I
And you
know
know
you,
what?
so
We're
I
not
believe you.
always saying yes, and we're not always saying that we're right about things, but the fact that you dig for information is the key. Because if you reject it, then you really don't know.
You're
That's my
right.
biggest beef with a lot of people when you try to communicate with them. They automatically doubt. And, there's this saying, doubt kills. It really does. You can't doubt yourself because you'll never do anything. And you can't doubt information because you'll never know anything. Just take it
Mm,
in, put it in its place, and if you need it, go back to it. So it's
mm,
not unfeasible. That would be some sort of mark on a mail in ballot. It's been all this talk about it being fraudulent. If you do your research, go back. There was talk about it being fraudulent during Obama's election. They didn't
mm,
want mail in ballot. But now we're like, yeah, we want them now. So
mm.
it's all this confusion around it. So, hey, just like there's watermarks on money, a vote, a mail in ballot, that's money, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
important. And it needs to not be any Joe Blow can just print one out and you just check the
Mm-hmm.
box.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. That's right. And I agree with that. And that's how I felt about the whole, when you say that, okay, that brings us to the door of the validity of identification at a ballot. I'm going to use that as a segue, because a lot of people feel like, oh, it's anti, that's racist if you make people show their ID. Okay, I'm gonna put it in real street terms for you. How many people get a check on the 1st and the 15th that ain't got no ID? I'll hold. You already know when
Truth.
somebody got to go get their food stamps, and when they got to go get they check the 1st and the 15th, they better have an ID. So why can't you
Yeah.
use that
And I
same?
think
So that's what I'm saying. Don't use that on us. Don't. They turn everything into a
yeah,
black thing whenever they want sympathy from Americans, and we're here to tell you guys we don't need all of that. That stuff right there are a lot. That's lies. We all got ID.
yeah. I think it's, I hear the different talk about it. When I think about it, okay, so we think that our vote is important. We need to make sure that you voting and not
Mm-hmm.
your aunt voting for you
You
or
see.
anybody voting for you. And we want to make sure it's an American voting for America. I mean, there
Mm-hmm.
has to be some sort of measure because we know that
Mm-hmm.
there's room for fraud. And,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be careful with this. I don't have anything against immigrants. Come to this country, but
Come on.
come and do it the right way.
Yes.
Be a part of the country
Yes.
like we all are. Work,
Mm-hmm.
put in your fair share, do your fair share. No one's against opening the doors, but we can't have the doors open where people are here to take advantage of a system, get to participate in the system on one hand and then not in the other.
Mm.
It's like you have a family member that comes into your house and eats all your food and never buys any food.
Mm.
So that doesn't work.
So the family member in this
Everybody
case
play
would
your
be
part.
part of the human race. They're part of the human race. They come on in, but come on in the dough the right way. You know what I'm saying? Come
Yes,
on in the door the right
that's it.
way.
That's it. You've arrived. There's a process. You go through the
Hmm.
process. You're going to be here for a visa, whatever it is, for a little while, or you're going to make up your mind you're going to stay. So you're going to go through that process. You're going to stay. And I just think there should be measures along the way. You
I
know,
agree.
there's measures when you have a visa and you're in another country. There's
Hello.
measures when you're becoming a citizen. And when you become a citizen, now you do what all citizens do.
That's right. That's right. And
And, you know,
and here's, go ahead. I'm sorry, baby. Go.
we're in the process of reforming what a citizen is. Agreed. But in the
Hmm.
meantime, you know, we all pay taxes. We all register to vote. We all have an ID. That's how it is. Just do that. Just do that much. And then, you know, don't come in circumventing the system, which turns around and ends up hurting the people that are here doing the right thing within the system. And I'll yield on that one.
This computer, I don't like this computer. I don't have my mouse. I'm using that little square piece in the center. And you guys
Yes.
already know I be tripping. So it doesn't always work for me. And I'm like, yes, I believe I'm hitting and hitting and hitting and it doesn't work. But
Yeah.
I agree with you. And you know, I'm gonna say this. I feel like when here's what I have not liked. This and then this is so true. What I have not liked about the whole piece is that the way that the powers that be have used and manipulated words to ensnare everybody. They've used words to ensnare and manipulate people's heartstrings. And I don't know what it is about us. I really don't. I don't know. I don't understand whether it's something that we felt like we owed other people because we just have to be for the underdog. But the one body of people, as well as the majority of a lot of other Americans, but I'm going to use our people as an example, who have been bitten in the tail because of accepting the people who come here without coming in the right way. We've been so accepting of that mindset. And I think it's because for a long time we've always wanted to support the underdog, but we do not understand, and we did not understand, especially in Cali. And I keep going back to my time in California when I grew up. And you know, when I grew up, we had a place in Carson, California that we would walk through to get to our school. Well, that one particular community, my brother's best friend, Felipe, lived there. Sweet kids, sweet mom, sweet family. All of them people was good folks. We walked straight through and picked up Felipe, and then we went up the other way and we picked up Irma. We would all walk. It'll start out being 3 kids, and then we'd all walk and all catch up and be like a big pile of us walking to the campus at the same time. My point is, when we would all walk, Felipe's mom was always sweeping out the front door. They had a little ritual every day. And we went to school, and that was cool. So we were raised around everybody. We didn't have no issues with anyone. Our issue and Felipe's family's issue and everybody else who was legally in this country's issue was there was a whole bunch of other people storming that border, coming through to our country, that would push Felipe's dad out of the job, that would push my daddy out of different jobs, and you know, brothers and cousins and people out of jobs. And then later on, when they began to try to use those same body of individuals to, you know, infiltrate our government by illegal votes and stuff like that, what ended
Yes.
up happening was we began to see, and even though we didn't want to admit it, that they were pushing us out of jobs, literally. I mean, my
Yes.
one brother is an engineer, and he said to me, he said, I just quit, and I won't say the name of the company, but it's a huge company. He said, I just quit because they literally, he said, I'm an engineer, I got a master's. I don't need anybody that I don't understand to be my boss. I said, what are you talking about? He said, they brought a person that doesn't even speak English, and they brought me an interpreter for her to talk to me. He said, it's okay. If it's that serious, you guys just keep it. And he went on ahead and he went on about his business. But I look at how now in California, you got more folks out there that look like us that have been advocating for other people that to come here illegally. They haven't said, well, wait a minute, let's support the people who are trying to come here the right way. Let's get on their side. Let's try
Yeah.
to hold that they make some reformation to get them here. They've been on the list for how long? They've been paying how much money trying to take these classes on. Let's help them become citizens expeditiously. Why aren't we doing that? But we don't do that. We embrace everything that's opposite. It's like, if you want something upside down, give it to us. We'll turn it upside down. Demita, what is that?
In my observation of it, it comes from the programming of a marginalized mind. So you've been convinced that you're targeted, that you're hated, that nothing you have is equal, everything you have is second, you're minority, you're 13%, you're all these negative low numbers. You've been convinced to take that into your psyche. And you've been told these things in a way that, yes, you're a minority and we got to get you, equal rights. And yes, your things are not as great as ours. My schools are better than your schools and we're going to help you. So in that lure to try to help you, the back door, the subconscious effect is that you absorb and accept that you're marginalized. So once you take that in, now you align with anything marginalized. You're going to align with the immigrant. You're going to align with LGBTQ. You're going to align with a feminist. You're going to align with any group that this media says is marginalized. And it comes from the fear that if you don't align with another marginalized person, then no one will align with you. And it's a psychological trick. And I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in a Freudian book, in a Hegelian dialect, in a Pavlovian classical conditioning experiment. I'm pretty sure it comes from all of those things. It's so subtle and it works so well. And it has us inverted. It has us saying, why are you telling me I'm not marginalized? You're marginalized too. Like, no. Things happen, injustice happens, but you're not marginalized. We get angry at another person who says you're not marginalized. We're like, why are you telling me I'm not marginalized? It's like, wait a minute. I'm trying to tell you that you're empowered, that you're strong, that you are a hero, that you're powerful, and you're shooting me down because you are holding on to this word. No, I'm marginalized because we're convinced if I say that, then somehow something is going to save me from it. This is really what we've been indoctrinated with. I can safely say, having parents born in 1931 who lived through wars, the stock market crash effects, segregation, growing up in it 100%. Somehow, my parents went to college. They both had master's degrees. My father bought a home. My mother was a housewife. They didn't feel marginalized. But right around that time of desegregation is when those thoughts started getting indoctrinated. We're separated. Yeah, some things probably weren't equal. Some things were probably greater on the other side, meaning our side, minding our business.
Yep.
But then you're told, oh no, because you see this negative force is seeing you build your own community, and they're like, no, we can't have that. And then if this negative force sees you aligning with white people or other people, no, we can't have that. We cannot control the group if the group is one.
Yes. And that's the whole deal. And oh my God, I just love what you just said, because that is so true. If we're all of one mind, of one, working, it's like we're all working together, going in the same direction. We all, or even not even of the same direction, but we know how to meet in the middle and agree to disagree on things, but we still have peace. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I'm going to tell you, I was talking to my husband a while back, and we were talking about, in Mississippi, in the part where he's from, we were cracking up laughing, talking about how they used to barter, if they needed eggs and they knew they could go down the way, or actually, if they needed watermelons, or if they needed greens. There was a white man down the way, and he had a crop of watermelons and greens, but his mother would take eggs and give it to him. And he said, and you know what? We never had no problem with Mr. Jones. We never had no problem with him. We all grew up, and if he saw us cutting up, he would go tell our mother if we were cutting up, or he would tell us to get on over there and sit down somewhere. And they never, it was a community. It was a community. And
Yes.
that is what they have attempted to destroy in our great nation right now. As a Black woman, I want to publicly say that feminism was the worst thing that could have ever infiltrated our family. That the
Yes.
mindset of, I am not good enough because I am, quote, just a housewife. When you
Ooh.
remove the natural order of things, when you tell the husband, I am an independent woman and I don't need no man for nothing, I am good by myself, with the neck rolling, when you begin to do that, now you are doing just like that woman in the Bible, where the Bible says that a foolish woman plucketh her own house down with her own hands. A wise woman buildeth her house up, but a foolish one plucketh it down with her own hands. That was never meant for us. If you look and understand that this whole entire thing was made to destroy the family, regardless
Yes.
if it's a white family, Black family, purple family. But
Yes.
we are the ones who I'm looking at right now who have tremendously suffered from having this mindset of independence. We are the ones who have to break this unbelievable cycle of continuous food stamp welfare mentality. As you say, your mom was home, your dad had degrees and was at school. My father was Air Force. He went to UCLA, studied psychology, a senior mechanical engineer in the aerospace industry. You know what I'm saying? But my
Yes.
mom did things that she could do that made sure that if she did do something, okay, to go work, for the most part, in the latter part of my life, she was at home when I got home. You see what
Yes.
I'm saying? And so
Yes.
that's what we have got to understand, is that we have communities that we can rebuild if we understand how we got here. We cannot see, here's the thing that people don't understand. The attack and the assault on the American family was done on purpose,
Yes.
and it was done systematically. And they started with the white woman first.
Yes.
After they tore her and her family apart, then they said, that's okay, we're going to go ahead and we'll get the Black family. So now let's let her, this Black sister, want to get a little freedom too. Let's build a bonfire. Let's
Yes.
take someplace and put all of their bras together and tell them to burn them. You want to be free? Be free. You don't have to be chained. You can do just as much as a man. No, you cannot. You can't
No.
pick up as much as a dude. You can't work as long and as hard as a dude without your face cracking and looking crazy. You cannot. Stop it. If you
Yes.
try to work 60, 70 hours like your husband do, sister, good luck to you. But I tell you right now, your body gonna tear down. We were
Yes.
not meant for that. Our purpose is what God created us for. And when we step outside of that, and when the family steps away from the original purpose of God, we got trouble on the horizon. Don't you understand it?
Yes. My father told me the story because my parents met in college at Virginia State University. My mother had a master's in sociology when she married my father. So, they had a talk. He told her, you can work if you want to, but who's going to take care of our children? And my mother thought about it, and she made the sacrifice. And some people might say, well, she gave up her career. No, that's because this world has just minimized what a wife and a mother is. And as you say, it's the foundation of earth, the wife and the mother, because the man is building the home and providing the tools for the wife and the mother to build the home and to create humanity that's going to leave her house and do what they're supposed to do. Not everybody's supposed to be a mother or a father. Not everybody's going to be the builder. Not everybody's going to be the scientist. But the more in tune we are with ourselves, our role, and our children, we can recognize these things in our children. But right now, we're too busy taking them to daycare, and we don't even really know their personality because they're away from us so much. We don't even recognize the lawyers, the doctors, philosophers, the writers, the dreamers that we're giving birth to because we don't have time to see those things in them. We send them off to school and let someone else educate them. You know, we're in this routine that seems normal, but it's not. It really isn't. And I feel that, you know, this struggle that we're going through now and the struggles that we've been through is going to bring us back, you know,
I
back,
agree.
into the full circle. You know, and the feminism, oh, you hit it on the head, like bam, bam, like it destroyed womanhood. And if you look at those women who started it then, where are they now? Manless, angry.
Well, they didn't want no man. They wanted the women. That whole thing, I feel, was started by women who like one another and who hate men. It was you know what I'm saying? It remind you of the just the man hating club. The man is terrible. The man is awful. The man is bad. And granted, there may be some pretty bad cats out there. All right, it goes without saying. But you know what? There's some pretty bad sisters out there too. There's some pretty bad chicks out there. But they started it with the hatred of the man. Because, you know, if you get the strong man out, that's what the scripture said. If you remove the strong man, you got everything else. If you take the captain, see, look at the story of Deborah. Deborah did in this particular passage. Deborah went in and she got the captain out. She slew the captain, and the entire battle was pretty much over because ain't nobody going to do nothing without a leader.
Yes.
Now translate that to the same philosophy of removing the captain. They removed the captain. And see, people don't want to give the men the credit that they deserve. I feel so bad for men, both black men and white men right now today. I feel so bad for them. They can't speak to a woman. They can't say, hi, how are you? They can't tell her she looks nice respectfully. They can't ask her for her phone number. They can't do anything. And you know what this whole thing is for? It is specifically to prevent procreation. Because once you start with not being able to court, not being able to talk to, then you have this socially awkward guy who's, you know, and then there's the girl, and now they don't want to be misconstrued. Well, I don't want her to think I'm trying to, you know, rape her or anything. That is the stuff that they put in these people's mind. Every chance they get, they've emasculated the man. If they're not putting a dress on a black woman, they're making a white man look just as ignorant on TV as possible. They make them seem dumb. And that is so opposite of truth. It is such a lie spawned from the pit of hell. Men are not the bad guy. Pardon the pun intended, but they're not the bad guy. Okay? Yes. Men are not the bad guy. The man, honey, let me tell you something. If you ain't ever had a good man in your house, let me just say it like this. If you ever had a good man in your house and it comes a time where he's gone for about a week solid, trust me, you're going to understand what a good man is. I'm going to just say that. If you've had a good man and he got to go out of town for a week, trust and believe when he got to go, you're going to understand exactly what I'm talking about. There's nothing wrong with these men. And we sisters, we've got to start to lift our men up.
Yes.
Quit coddling your sons. Let them be who they're supposed to be. Okay. Quit babysitting everything our sons do. I got 5 of them, so I can say this. We need to allow these young men to hang out with men. Let them hang out with their dads. Let them hang out with their dads and their uncles. Quit coddling them. Quit saying, "Oh, he's gonna hurt himself." No, he ain't. He gonna be all right. Let me tell you something. Every single one of my sons got stitches. One would be playing football and have his head up on something, and then they end up with stitches. Oh, gotta go. Come on, let's take him over here to the doctor. Off the field we go. Why? Because they were boys. Let them be. They're getting to the point now where they don't even want the kids playing any contact sports. Wearing these stupid muzzles has definitely made a dent on that. They started up about 2 years ago talking about the dangers of children even playing flag football. Why? Because they want a bunch of pansies so they can take over. And the reason why they want a bunch of pansies is they reverse everything. They make the young men weak and the women overly abundantly strong. Even though we Black women here on this panel right here are very strong in our convictions, we all know how to be submitted to a good man. Why? Because sometimes you just want to get in the back seat and ride. I don't want to ride. I don't want to be the driver. No, sir. You lead and I will follow. That is the principles of a good relationship, when you know your role and you rock it.
Well, I agree with you 120% on what you're saying. And I also see that it's also, I think it's an opportunity right now. I've heard, people, they kind of humanize or they characterize, can I say the CV, if you will, if you know what I'm referring to. They characterize that as some type of granting us opportunities, but it's also exposing things, and it's exposing threats to the feminist community, if you will. And I'm saying that, I mean, if you haven't heard recently, Maxine Waters came out saying that, making a statement about forgiveness, and to Black men, that she would not forgive them, as I'm paraphrasing what she actually said. But I'm saying, what are they so afraid of? Are they afraid if a thinking Black man returns to society, that he will lead, that he will return back to his family, and he will be the center, and he will make, and things will have, there will be that authority, that natural authority there? Because I think that there's power struggling going on. I think it's on all levels.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that Maxine herself is a feminist, but I'm saying
that she's a feminist 110%. Please believe it.
She said that she won't forgive the Black man.
She said that she would. Let me give it to you.
Because what is she not forgiving him for?
She says Maxine Waters says she will never ever forgive Black men who vote for Trump.
Oh, okay.
But I think she's speaking to something even more. It's beyond Trump to me.
Well, why make that statement? You can have your own opinion. You can have your own thoughts. You do not have to be cut off over such an issue that has nothing to do with your family and your household. It's just part of this whole divisiveness to separate men and women. And I'll say this particularly with this socialist Marxist philosophy that's floating around in this democracy. It has certainly targeted Black women. We can look at certain cities in this country led by Black women who all have this same philosophy, who fit this pattern of being manless.
Yes.
All empowered. You've stepped
and manly.
Yes.
Preach.
Yes. Like, why? This is a pattern, and we have to recognize this. You could be who you want to be, but after like 5, 6, 7 of you, it's a pattern. And I really, truly believe, I'm a woman. I'm all about it. I, know what I'm capable of. No one is less intelligent than the other. However, I think that women can often be more vulnerable emotionally when it comes to being drawn into this philosophy of Marxism, which draws you in with the sense that you are going to be helping. And that's our nature, to be nurturing. And then we don't have that man to balance you, to say, well, babe, maybe this isn't what it seems. You don't have that other voice to piggyback off of. You get drawn into this system, and then you get turned into, I don't need a man. Through the grace of my father, he is the first king. He is my thought pattern when it comes to Black men and men in general. He was a great man in my eyes. And I am an advocate for myself, of course, but strongly for Black men. Even when they're messing up, I'm still going to be there to have your back, to speak highly of you. The world is not doing this. I think it's very, very important to always mention the power of the Black man and the Black woman together. And this spreads to any group of people, any culture, the man and the woman together. Like, we are not here without those two forces being together. We cannot let it fall to the wayside. Everybody has their place. But we can't deny that image is being pushed and shoved aside. We have to stop that. We have to speak up. Maxine Waters, I'm disappointed in her statement, but I do understand, because she's in a philosophy. This is her career. She's not going to step outside those bounds after all this time. But it's shameful that she would even say such a thing. And for me, if I could address her respectfully, I would. I would just tell her, you're in a position of responsibility, of influence, and I think you should rethink your words and, the power that it can have to destroy exactly who you are. Because if we want to Black men, we're tearing down ourselves. I come from the seed of a Black man. How could I hardly put him down without putting myself down? These are the things that we have to rethink.
So very true. So very true. I want to thank everybody in the chat tonight. We have Robin Thyman, Jackie Koo, Rhonda Schultz, Mr. David Harris, and Sherry J. We have Mr. Flavio Antonio. I hope I said that correctly. I used to work at a place called Flavio's in Carson, California. It was a hair salon, and it was an older gentleman that was named Mr. Flavio, rest his soul. It's good to see you tonight, sir. You know what? My guests tonight are none other than Miss Black Spring with Autumn and Demita Miles. I appreciate you ladies for being here. We're talking about a whole lot of stuff. We're talking about what's going on. We're talking about the family. We're talking about what I'm glad we are talking about, what happened in our country, what happened in our relationships, what happened in our marriage. Because even though they're talking about, the Great Reset is not a good thing, all this other stuff, you know what? We can flip this whole thing upside down and get our families back and get our lives back on track, because we are older now. And because we are older now, we are able to say what we now know is truth. And hopefully it'll be respected and listened to by these young people. You guys, these young girls and men and young boys, these young people, these youngsters are so lost. They have no idea what it means to be a wife, what it means to be a mother, what it means to get up. You know what? I know that I'm in my mid-50s, but I'm not that old, really, when you look on the grand scheme of things. But I remember getting up with my husband while he was military. He would get up in the morning, dark 30, he would get up. I would get up about an hour before him. I would make sure that everything was ready for him so he could get up, get in the shower, get ready. And then by the time I sat with him for a few minutes and had my coffee, he had his coffee, he was out the door. Then I had to clean those dishes and get my kids prepared. I went ahead and put a crock pot on, got all that stuff together, got one son to school. So my job was already laid out for me, and it was the most beautiful time in my life. But Right now, today, people don't even know how to cook because they're so busy trying to figure out how fast they can get to the microwave. We need to take some time, just a second, just a minute, just an hour if we can, with somebody in our family that needs a little bit of helping, a little bit of coaching. The young girl in the family who may have had her kids too early. Okay. Maybe she had her kids too early and she doesn't know. If you know, sit down and share with her. We have to start somewhere with our loved ones, with our families, and get back to the basics. This situation just might make us or break us, but let's hope for the best. Let's hope that we'll learn how to bite our tongue as women and maybe lift that man up and not argue with him. And maybe, just maybe, we can take up a hobby together. Maybe we can go out into the backyard and plant some, greens or some green peas and get to know one another again, our husbands and wives. Get to figure out, why did you start liking that tall, tall, dark, and handsome cat? You know what I mean? What was it about him that led you guys together? What was the glue? Get that glue back together with the relationship and the marriage. Women out there who are so easy to throw your man away, trust and believe you are talking to a sister who has forgiven and forgiven and forgiven. So I know it's not easy, but I do know that everything you have is worth fighting for, that has some value. Stand in the stead of your husband. Is he a drinker? Is he a brawler? Is he a smoker? Is he a fighter? What does he do? What is his problem that you can see? Don't talk about the problem to him. Pray for him. Give it all to God and say, Father, here's what you guys do. Here, I'm gonna tell you guys something. Confess what you want your husband to be over him every day. Father, I thank you that my husband is a man who walks upright before you. This guy could be somebody who you already know he be tripping. But Father, I thank you that my husband is a smart man, that my husband makes the best decisions for my family, that my husband is a good, solid father. He is a great producer in our household, Father. I thank you for helping and healing his mind, God. Let him stay on the right track. Those are the things we began to pray for. Right? We begin to pray for the things that we want to see in our spouse. And husbands can do the same thing. But what we're talking about tonight, you guys, is just building some foundational things in our family. Just building foundation in our lives, in our households. And believe it or not, like a flower, it'll begin to bloom out and grow into our neighborhoods. And that's how we build back what we had when we were little kids and beyond that. That's how we lift one another up to become better, right? So I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here with us today. The question is, what was going on in Minnesota? Because I've seen it all in the streets, everybody outside packed up, and it was more than 1,000 people looking like they were ready for something. And I don't know what it is, and I don't know what it was, but I do know that there is something that they are attempting. But we do know that, hey, they can try anything they want to try. They can do anything they want to do out there. It's not going to affect any of us because letter A, we already established. We ain't going out there dealing with none of it. And we're not going to allow any of it to come near us. But what I said earlier on, you guys, still stands true. Get yourself something where you can protect yourself, get yourself some food in the house, a little extra water, so that way you can chill out this weekend and see what's about to happen, because none of us really know. Black Spring, have you been looking at the news or anything like that? Do you have any reports or anything that you want to share with us before we go? Or Demita, does anybody know? Or even in the chat, do you guys know of anything that's going on right now as it relates to the numbers? Should we go to Newsmax right quick just to get a gander? Any suggestions, Demita or Black Spring?
I'm not looking at anything right now. Maybe if someone could get access to.
I mean,
Newsmax?
I was looking at something, but it wasn't they didn't have actual numbers up there. It was just more commentary on what's going on. Yeah, but the only other thing I kind of stumbled onto something related to the media journalist, that 75% of the media writers have a quote side job destroying Trump ballots. And
What?
that was actually yeah, that's all kind of caught caught in a tweet, and pretty bad, right? Yes.
Well, yes, that is. That's more than pretty bad. That's terrible.
So,
Oh,
yeah, that's their
goodness.
side. I guess that's moonlighting for the media, American media. They're doing Trump ballots on the side.
Oh no.
I
Is that
tell
in
ya.
print someplace, or is
Yes,
that a
yes.
video that you can show
Would you
us?
like me to share it?
Yes, please share that with us.
Okay. Yes, it's a little bit 11th hour, but it's still a goodie.
And it's information that we need.
Okay. So I mean,
Yes.
I can kind of get into it just a little bit if you want.
Do your thing, girl.
All right. Can you guys see the screen? I guess I have to. Okay, there it is. Okay, so what I'll just go into it just a little bit. So here again, this is coming from naturalnews.com. This is a left-wing media. Journalists say that 75% of media writers have, quote, a side job destroying Trump ballots. So as you can see, you have a box here, postal box here, and from Natural News, John Swartz, a prominent left-wing writer for The Intercept, thinks that destroying the ballots of people who vote for Donald Trump is the moral solution to preventing a second Trump term. According to Schwartz, who also writes for the New York Times, The Atlantic, and other far-left media outlets, quote, at least, quote, 75% of those who work in the mainstream media, quote, including me, end quote, he tweeted, have a, quote, side job destroying Trump ballots, end quote. Quote, when you love something as much as we love destroying Trump ballots, you make the time, end quote, he tweeted back he actually tweeted this back on November 1st of 2016. So I'm going to keep going here. So Schwartz added in a series of other tweets the same day that destroying Trump ballots is quote, not a felony, end quote. He also added that, quote, the Constitution says you can destroy Trump ballots, end quote, presumably joking, but how does one really tell anymore? In a recent article he wrote entitled, quote, the election isn't over until Trump is gone, end quote. Schwartz suggested that people who hate Trump need to initiate, quote, street fights in the event that Trump wins re-election on November 3rd. Did you have something? Did somebody say something?
No, listening.
Okay.
I'm gasping, so that's probably
that's my
me you
reaction.
hear over me gasping.
Schwartz also believes that illegal aliens should not only be allowed to vote, but to do so multiple times until Democrat candidates are able to, quote, win, end quote. A self-described alum of filmmaker Michael Moore's Dog Eat Dog films, as well as a, quote, researcher producer of Moore's Capitalism, a love story, end quote, Schwartz is hell-bent on removing Trump from office through any means possible. After being accused of visiting a voting site during the 2016 election to, quote, to fake IDs and assist in ferrying illegals from polling station to polling station, end quote, Schwartz responded unashamedly with, quote, let's not rest on our laurels, though. Even everyone's needed in Wisconsin to destroy Trump ballots during the recount, end quote. To keep up with the latest election-related news, be sure to check out Trump.news. So yeah, there's much more here. Just a little bit more. If you guys want me to finish it up here,
Please do.
Okay, so according to this, Schwartz supports militant Antifa-backed Transition Integrity Project. Should Joe Biden and Kamala Harris not win in a landslide on November 3rd, Schwartz allies over at the Transition Integrity Project, TIP, are planning to unleash hell across America. The so-called, quote, fight back table, end quote, has indicated plans to initiate, quote, mass public unrest, end quote, in the event that Trump wins, and Schwartz wants to take it all a step further with mass violence. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, has reportedly taken notice of Schwartz's statements and behavior, having launched an investigation into a positive reaction that Schwartz had to a tweet by Huffington Post editor Nick Bauman that reads, quote, I love my job working at a voting site in Washington, D.C., destroying Trump ballots, end quote. After Bowman came out to state that he was joking, Schwartz chimed in and stated that he, quote, wanted to emphasize to the FBI that while at Nick Bauman was joking. I was completely serious. I am not kidding, end quote. Schwartz further bragged that he had supposedly, end quote, destroyed 1,000 thousands of ballots, end quote, further expressing confusion that the FBI, quote, is investigating Nick for jokes when I'm the one who destroyed thousands of ballots, end quote. Since, quote, lots more people want Trump to be president, end quote, than Biden or anyone else, Schwartz's words, not ours, Schwartz has made it his personal mission to, quote, destroy the ballots, end quote, to try to keep Trump out of office. Schwartz now claims that all of these tweets were mere jokes, despite the incredible volume of them that would suggest otherwise. He apparently thinks he is quite the funny guy who compensates for his lack of wit by suggesting that he commits election fraud for fun. Quote, still waiting on your piece debunking police shooting stats, end quote, wrote on Twitter. User trying to get Schwartz's attention concerning a promise he apparently made in an earlier article about police violence. Quote, it never materialized. I guess you're busy with other stuff, end quote.
Mm.
So, that's, you see, I mean, I'm wondering who, this is like, it speaks to who is the media. Are they activists first? Or,
I mean,
definitely taking on a different role.
Yeah. And then let's look at some of the parents to some of the folks that are in the media. Some of the parents to some of the major people that are in the media are total leftists, I mean, let's see, Diane von Furstenberg, her son is the blonde haired guy that is on CNN. What is that? He's a handsome kid, young guy, but I know that he's a little special. He's got the blonde hair. Anderson Cooper. I think he's with CNN, but I know that's her son is Diane von Furstenberg. All of these people are connected to somebody famous. They're all connected to somebody big. All of them. It's like one big family. It's like, no problem. Can your kid read from a teleprompter? Why, yes, I think he can. Well, he's got a job. Don't worry. We got him. And they put and so there are a lot of people who are, I mean, once you start pulling history on people, right? Like for example, when I was reading to you guys earlier about the whole thing with the Michigan voting situation. Well, I didn't just stop there. When we do our research for anything that we put up, I went and I said, okay, who's the name of the company? Now let's pull the CEOs of the company. Where was the company founded? Then I got to go to the Secretary of State. Then I got to pull their articles of incorporation. And then I got to see who the company, if it's a company's name there, then I start digging on that company and figure out where they are. And so you'll find that once you start digging into certain things, you'll find, so this really was planned. You really did do this. You really don't like us. You really don't like this country. So yeah, the media is, I really wish Kim had come tonight because she knows so much stuff, right, Demita? That's really her forte, is knowing all the she is the one who gets down with the get down. She really does. And she's got a lot of information and she knows about a lot of folks. And so it's just that when we begin to understand, I think it's because we don't think with a nefarious mind, that we can't seem to fathom that there are people out there who want to destroy our nation. And once we see, hey, C-Mac, love you, girl. Once we see that they mean to harm us, then it's too late. It's too late. You know what I'm saying? I don't think enough of us ask any questions at the beginning. We start asking questions like now. You know what I mean? We're like, now how did that happen? However, to our credit, a lot of us have seen things and people take offices and positions and CEO-hood and all that stuff. And we're like, wait a minute. Weren't they with such and such in the year of such and such? How can they now be this person or that person? Like the guy who was over the United States Postal Services. What is that? What is the highest office of the U.S. Post? Isn't it the general or something like that? What is What is a proper title? Anybody in the chat? Does anybody
I
know?
think you're right. It's the Postmaster General.
Postmaster General. How about he was like on several boards of some of these same companies that are in competition with delivering goods and services, or delivering mail, or delivering packages. And so everybody was wondering, well, why would they give him that job? That's definitely a clear, I looked at it like that. I don't know about anybody else, but I was like, yo, wait a minute. Isn't that a really clear idea of not having the best interests of the post office? That no wonder they're doing so bad, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's no wonder they're doing bad, because look who you've got. You've got their major competitor running them. You know what I'm saying? It's like now their major competitor is running the post office. Does that make sense? So it's like once we start doing our due diligence, when we get to see, we're like, yikes. Cherie J says it's called programming for a reason. Okay. Yes. And it's demoralizing the public. And I think that the most of us who begin to start to talk about this stuff and start to really put it out there in the forefront, to Demita's point that I will never stop quoting or touting, it brings us back to the level of accountability for those that we have in A, esteem, or B, put in office. Yes, sir. All day.
Yes.
All day. You guys, I thank each and every one of you for being here in the stream tonight. I appreciate you. There is some great people here in the chat. You guys get to meet one another and, talk amongst yourselves there. If you guys have channels, let us know your channel if you do have a channel. And if you want us to, check you out, we can do that. All you guys, it's all about, meeting each other and sending out good positive vibes and love and care for everybody. On Twitter, Gerald Sheehan shows videos of people opening up boats and tossing Trump. Robin, wait a minute, Robin, I got to give you this, because you have laid down like 3 good pieces of information. Robin, please just come and just say something. I know how y'all be feeling like, no, I don't want to get on there and talk. Just tell us what you know. And you don't have to show your face either. Just come on, Robin. Robin Feynman. Robin Feynman. If you don't come on, I'm going to sing your name until you do. Yeah. You don't want me to do that. But no, I really would like for you to come on and just tell us a little bit about the last 2 things you mentioned. You talked about that, and then you talked about something else. Yes, C-Mac, we do. That's a shame. I cannot believe that, that they actually showed them doing that. That's a mess. And then, I also want to say this one thing. For everybody who was sitting around saying, oh, I can't wait for this person to get in office and I can't wait for this or that. Really? What is it that you can't wait for? The re-education camp? or that block of cheese that they're going to give you once a month? I mean, what intrigues you about said regime? I mean, what intrigues you? You can't wait for them to come out? Okay, all right, no problem. You can't wait for them to come on. Oh, wow. I'm going to give it over to you, Demita. I'm going to do some housework here. I see some chats over here in the private chat. Go ahead and do what you got to do. Talk about it, and I'm going to go over here and check this out.
Well, we just have to keep our faith in what we know is supposed to happen. I'm looking at some numbers. The one clip that I saw, let's see, it was actually Fox News. It says News Now from Fox. And it's about what's happening in Maricopa County, Arizona. And it was a heavy discussion about recounting the votes. There's another site. What is this called? The Next News Network. Sometimes you have to reach outside of this main media to hear what other people are saying. We already know the media is a mockingbird. Every channel you turn to is the same talk. This particular site, the Next News Network, this loaded up. Let's see. 69 minutes ago, and they're talking about Trump, the votes, recounting. The headline says, Insider declares Trump to take Arizona. It was a clear and concise conversation between two people about what's going on there. And they're all saying the same thing. This state is red. It's no way. You know, they voted for Biden. And they're claiming that these results, as they continue to recount, are projected to be announced on Friday. So we're looking at another day.
Oh, just
another day.
day.
Whatever it, yeah,
So
and
does
you
that-
know, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying, does that? I mean, is so you think we're going to go all the way till Friday with extra?
This is what, yes, this is what they projected. And it's like, okay, so
Ay, ay,
we
ay.
know 2020 has, nothing's been normal about it. We knew either way it went, there was going to be contesting the results. So clearly, I mean, I don't know, as a Democrat, I wouldn't feel good about what's going on, because it's almost unbelievable, right? Where you know certain states that never really went blue are blue. Okay, you can be so deranged in your Trump hate that you could think that, but the fact that, you know, it happens in the middle of the night, and we talk about numbers, right? Because everything is connected, the spiritual, the mental, the physical, and rituals. So these two numbers were being thrown out between 2 and 4, 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. was this magical switch in numbers. 2 and the 4 is a 6.
Yep.
And I think around today, around the same time in the PM, is when it started to turn back. And it's almost like, there's rituals on either side. So if that's happening, that's the 6, and then there's another 6 that should be coming. What's the date for Friday? What's the date for Friday?
There you go. You hit it.
The 6th.
You hit it.
Yeah.
You hit it.
So now in my studies, we're told the 666 is evil. We know a bunch of stuff they told us is just the reverse. So I have to do my research, and I have to try to put everything in the middle and say, everything isn't evil. Maybe it's just how people are using it. So I did some research on the 666 and took it into science. So it represents 6 electrons, protons, and neutrons, which is carbon, which is the source of all life on Earth and in the universe. It is darkness. So doesn't mean that it's evil. It does mean that it's the source of all life. It does mean that it's your soul. It can mean that someone evil has taken it upon themselves to grab the 666 because it needs it. As the mission statement, Democratic Party says, we're in a fight for the souls of the nation.
Come on, girl. Yes, that's what they were saying.
And people think, he's fighting for my soul. No, he's fighting to get your soul.
That is exactly it.
Not to save it.
That is exactly it.
Yes.
That is exactly it.
So
and that's the point. Girl, you better speak.
Yeah, so
you better speak.
Yeah. Still, we're going to side on humanity and who's for it. I can feel confident that I feel Trump is in that space. I can feel confident to say that he's a human, maybe, but he's vulnerable, like we all are, to,
yes, we are.
ego. The ego is very vulnerable. So any one of us could turn. Just imagine the temptations that must be at his level, where people could promise you just whatever you want, to just do what I'm asking you, and you'll be okay. And then you don't have to care.
Mm.
So there's different things that he's done that I know goes against things that he's seen, like the child trafficking. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure he's been around it all. And
Mhm.
people want to say, well, he's that way too. I'm like, okay, maybe he is, but he's the one telling.
Come on.
So for everyone that's been around it and didn't say a word, what do we have to say about them?
Come on, girl.
So it takes one to know one to take one down.
Come on.
If you don't know about it, you can't do anything about it. So this is why I'm on that side, because we'll get to you later, but we're going to save these babies right now.
That's right.
Make
That
sure
is
you
right.
stick to that mission.
Mm.
So, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to take the 666 as the source of life on earth, that the real beginnings, the new beginnings, which spring forth light.
Excuse me.
I'm going to take it on Friday that
Hmm.
Arizona is going to shed the light from the dark on the 6th, and we will have our way. And humanity
I love it.
be on its way.
I love it. I love it, you guys. I love it. We're gonna go right quick just to get a little bit of a little nightcap, and that was such sweet, sweet nectar that you gave us right there, sister. And you know what? The devil is always taking things and flip the script, and we already know that they live in upside down world, so they will always do the opposite. But this right here is coming straight from Newsmax. I want to make sure this is Newsmax.
Take it away. Greg, thanks so much. You know, this is something to watch. I can give you a headline right now. It's not over. And I'm going to explain why here. Let's start with this here in Michigan. Newsmax projected winner right now is Joe Biden. That's what we're seeing here in Michigan right now, and Biden 1 point above there. And again, it's close. I mean, you're talking about 60,000 vote different here. A lawsuit underway, as we heard earlier from Rudy Giuliani and others, Eric Trump as well, announcing that earlier. And a lot of discrepancies happening in that area. So we'll see what comes out of that. Let's pop up Wisconsin if we can. This is another one, the whole blue wall that was talked about again. Projected winner by Newsmax would be Joe Biden at this hour. This was called around 3 p.m. earlier today. Again, another close one. This about 20,000 votes as well. So again, we're still seeing this whole buck of the lawsuits as well. This is something that we've talked about. When these mail-in votes come in, this would be handled legally. Now, if you see this and you're watching other networks, you may start to panic. What we're telling you is not to do that. This is not a narrative. This is by fact. Let's start with Nevada. I'll show you Nevada. This one, another swing state, is up for grabs as well. And you're talking about 6 electoral votes here. This is where we are. Neck and neck. There's about an 8,000 vote difference. You can see at the top right there, only 5% difference of precincts not reporting just yet. This one may come in tomorrow. So that's one we're going to continue to watch out for. All right. Here's the key. Here's what makes things so different. The whole fact of the matter. Arizona. The reason why you tune to different networks, you see different numbers. You see Joe Biden possibly taking the entire thing. The reason why is they have called Arizona. Newsmax has not called Arizona, and here's why. 92% of the precincts reporting in at this hour. There has been, I think, about 400,000 votes that still haven't been counted. You say, Sean, why? Look at the votes here. 1.3 million for Donald Trump, 1.4. That's a 100,000 vote difference. This is still on the table. If he wraps this up, that's 11 electoral votes for President Trump. So the whole key behind this is keeping Joe Biden under 270. Arizona, you may hear from tonight. So watch for Arizona. Also watch for those legal battles that you'll see in the coming days, Greg.
All right, Sean, excellent work. And you see, it is wide open. Lots of ways to do this. And look, did we really think it was going to be over in one night, the first night? Would the fake news Democratic establishment let that happen? The same one that told us this president was a traitor, that impeached him over a nonsense phone call? How about Russia, Russia, Russia? They waged that. How about this? They never give him credit for just about anything. Now, let's think for a moment. Everything that the president has overcome in his presidency, a lot, just one of these episodes, one of them, like the niece writing the book or the porn star or anything, would have killed, literally killed, a normal politician. Okay? For President Trump, he just brushes it off and goes back to work for the American people. Do we really think that a guy like Joe Biden is going to stop this president? I don't believe so. And a couple of things came through to me last night, just kind of watching the returns and thinking about our president and thinking about Joe. You know, if he goes down, and I believe he will, one of the things that will be written in his political obituary, he never adequately addressed the situation with Hunter Biden. Hasn't really talked about it. Just says there's nothing there, and then gets real angry, right? And the media, they never asked the most basic questions that should have been asked. He got to go on national television, debate stage after debate stage, and it was never asked basic questions like, is this laptop Hunter Biden's? Did you actually arrange that meeting with the Burisma executive? Quite frankly, that shows a lack of respect for all of us, that the media would not do that. And they don't like him. They don't like us. And they've been saying for so long that he would lose, Donald Trump, that they're not to be trusted. They are not to be trusted right now at this juncture. So where are we? You heard Sean. He mentioned Arizona, Nevada. There are some legal challenges in Wisconsin and Michigan. Pennsylvania, it looks like we're in command in Pennsylvania. This can work out very, very easily, in fact, and we may see some dramatic developments as soon as tonight. But the fake news, they want you to be discouraged. Really is the opposite situation, because for literally years, they've been saying that whoever runs against Donald Trump would win, that 2016 was some sort of crazy fluke. It's not happening at all. Remember the whole thing about the blue wave? I even heard blue tsunami. But blue wave was what they really talked about. It would take out Trump. It would take out all of his supporters on Capitol Hill. This is from last month. Watch.
Opinion contributor Bill Schneider writes, quote, "There's a wave coming, a blue wave like the one in 2018, only bigger, much bigger, big enough to sweep away President Trump and the Republican majority in the Senate."
Now, we never bought that, but the thing is, they kind of convinced themselves that that was going to happen, a landslide. They were wrong because they're lazy and they don't understand us, and they're not even curious about us. They just want everything to go back to normal. The old swamp where they can be lazy, greedy snakes. Forgive me, but yes, I think that applies. I want to recap a little bit of last night, some of the highlights in my book. Newsmax, our coverage here was outstanding and truly provided an alternative, a needed alternative. Mark Halperin and Sean Spicer were absolutely brilliant, and their only agenda was the truth. And I'm telling you, it just came across on screen. I would go around the dial. Everyone else, they were clearly rooting for the other side. And over at Fox, they seem to have all kinds of complicated motives these days. I really can't figure out what their agenda is. But early in the evening, I got a pretty good feeling about how the night was going to turn out.
Florida 51-48 right now. That has been called for the president.
That's in Florida what we call a landslide.
It's always a tight state. He keeps Florida, Sean.
So as that was giving us a really good feeling, that was totally freaking out the mainstream media, the fake news. And they were like, what are we going to do about this? And I believe they were making sure that arrangements were being made in states like Michigan, states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and so on and so on and so on. But Florida, the numbers were so big they couldn't deny it, even though they tried. I don't know if they were buying themselves time, but that was about 8 o'clock that Newsmax called Florida for Donald Trump. NBC did not do it until well after midnight. And by the way, the whole vibe over there was like a funeral.
We've got a big call to make. It's official now. NBC projects Florida goes to President Donald Trump. We've been watching this all night. We've been very careful, but this is going to go into the Trump column, an absolute must-win for him.
We've been very careful and very reluctant to do this, but we have to, and it's late, so I guess we will, but we're told that other things have been arranged. So anyway, they were like holding their nose when they did it. It was weird. Meanwhile, Fox told you about their conflicting agenda. And also, it was not a lot of energy over there. It was like, again, some sort of funeral scene. But they called Arizona for Joe Biden weirdly early. They were the first, I believe, and they did not have the numbers, the data to do it. I think there might have been some internal bickering over there, but they pulled the trigger and they called Arizona for Joe Biden.
Developed.
Yeah.
The Fox News Decision Desk is calling Arizona for Joe Biden. That is a big get for the Biden campaign. It's also signals that it's a good night for Mark Kelly, the Democratic Senate candidate against Martha McSally there. But Biden picking up Arizona changes the math.
Yeah, changes the math. And I think that's why they did it, why they did it early. Makes no sense. It signals that they've got conflicting agendas because Arizona, we got hundreds of thousands of outstanding votes that have not been counted. And the Trump forces are very confident that we could see this fall into the win category for Donald Trump. Another thing that I thought was just appallingly bad. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite as bad. But last night, it's a historic night, right? Election night. We heard from Joe Biden at one point, and then out comes President Trump. This is the president of the United States on election night. It's a very close election, and he speaks, not for terribly long, by the way. What was it, 7 minutes? Less than 10, and he was interrupted. He was interrupted. NBC News anchors just jumped in. They tried to do that whole fact check routine, which I told you almost always blows up in the fact checker's face.
I've been saying this from the day I heard they were going to send out tens of millions of ballots.
We're listening to the president speaking at the White House, but we got to dip in here because there have been several statements that are just frankly not true.
It's a very sad moment. To me, this is a very sad moment. And we will win this. And we, as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it. So I just want to thank you.
We are reluctant to step in, but duty-bound to point out when he says we did win this election, we've already won, that is not based in the facts at all. Again, there are millions of votes yet to be counted. Our presidents don't select our victors.
No, but liars like Brian Williams do. I'm sorry, but put them both up. Savannah Guthrie and Brian Williams. Savannah, by the way, she's married to a high-level Democratic operative. She makes about $1.5 million a month. Consider that, all right? Maybe you do probably some pretty strange things to keep a job like that as well. Brian Williams, he's got significant issues. I mean, remember years ago, maybe you've forgotten, but the guy, I'm sorry, a serial liar telling grand stories about himself that not true. And there he is fact-checking our president and telling us that he's the one who decides who wins. No, it doesn't work that way. Something that came out last night I thought was fascinating, and most of the media missed it. The president is courting of black and brown people. It's paying dividends. And he wasn't getting this support just by being nice. It was substance, criminal justice reform, the funding of historically black colleges and universities. Black community, Hispanic community, they noticed in a big way. You know, he doubled his support last night among African-American women. Among black men, it went up some 40%. This is huge. This is seismic. And this could have lasting implications for the Republican Party. He also, I think, won a majority of Latinos in Florida. This is big, big stuff. And this is stuff that the media are not talking about right now. They just want to, they're up to all kinds of stuff. I'm convinced they can knock themselves out because I told you about all the obstacles our president has gotten through. There's a reason for that. I really think so. He's in God's hands. And all of this really is in God's hands. Did you see this photo? Came out a couple of days ago. It's not trick photography. That really happened. And I think it's absolutely beautiful and it's significant. So again, it's in God's hands. Don't worry, be vigilant. We got to be aggressive. We got to defend our turf, but this is all going to work out. Folks, stay with us. We're going to Arizona. We'll be joined by Congresswoman Debbie Lesko. She was with us the other night. Fantastic. And also the MVP, the co-MVP from last night here at Newsmax, Mark Halperin.
Well, well, well. I like it. I'm pretty glad to hear it. And I think that it's that was a very positive. I think it was positive. I mean, I really do. And all the stuff that we're dealing with right now, it just felt good to hear that. I'm sorry. You know, we've been. I feel like this. You know what he said? My butt. Ed, what you? Let me see what my baby talk about. This is my buddy right here. Ed, what you doing? Ed, you know, I got these are my hearts. Ed, and then my heart, Mr. Harris. I just love them so much. They are so awesome. Let's see. My butt be locked up with so many brothers who made the decision based on emotions instead of common sense. I got to go up here and find out what you were talking about before that. But you guys, I'm gonna tell you something. It just feels good to hear something that's positive, right? It really does. I mean, because you can only take in so much negative. We can only take in so much of the negative stuff that you just gotta dump that stuff off and let some good stuff in. Because the more negative that we take in, it actually can break you down physically and emotionally. So, okay, I see what you said. You said you're a big guy, 6'5", 235 pounds. If I kicked everyone's butt I want to, if you broken ass, but I would sacrifice my life and family and loved ones for your loved ones. Okay, for a few seconds. Well, he said might feel good. Oh my goodness. Ed. I know that's right. Well, you know what? Sometimes a man got to do what a man got to do. That's all there is to it. And this is my David. I love my David. I love all of my friends and family in the chat. My sister from the UK is here, KK Harris. I love you so much. I'm so glad you got a chance to come in. Jackie Koo, you've been here from the top of the hours. And C-Mac, there you go, C-Mac. I love you guys. You guys are also awesome for being here with us. And it's just something that you guys, where a lot of us are restless right now. Some of us can't sleep. Some of us are just waiting to see what's going on. Right, Sherry J? All of us are just waiting to see what's happening, what's going on. And that's just the way it is. Let's go back over here right quick and see what they got going on, what they're talking about. I know that they took a real short break, but let's just hear right quick.
That we could get, because we're now just coming into what they call Trump territory. I don't know what you call it, but these were friendly Trump voters, and that could be overturned.
President's right. It was called entirely too early. From my understanding, there are potentially hundreds of thousands of votes up for grabs. We're privileged to have once again with us Congresswoman Debbie Lesko from the 8th Congressional District outside of Phoenix, Maricopa County. Congresswoman, welcome back. What's going on in Arizona? Can we do this there or what?
Oh, yeah, I think Trump can win. I actually talked to the president this morning, and I talked to people here on the ground that are very involved. And the word I got this morning was that if 500,000 ballots were left to count, that Trump could win. And if 600,000 were out, then he has a really good chance of winning. And guess what? Today, one of the major media press, the newspaper here in Arizona said there is at least 600,000 ballots left to count here in Arizona. So I'm very optimistic about Trump winning in Arizona.
You know, I kept going to the Arizona Republic, and it just had Arizona and a big blue check, and, everything's fine here, everything's fine. And then, I saw that. Okay, 600,000. You have any idea why it was called as early as it was? It seemed like a real stretch at the time. Everybody was scratching their heads, but it did go down.
I have absolutely no idea why Fox News did that. I mean, I was absolutely appalled, because I'm here on the ground. I've been door knocking. I see what's happening. And there's no way that I believe that Arizona went for Biden. I just didn't believe it. And then we know in Arizona that so many people drop off their mail-in ballots at the polls on election day, and those ballots aren't counted for days. So we're probably not going to know for sure till probably Friday is what I have been told, Friday here in Arizona. But it is looking really good because the trends from the ballots that came in the middle of the night really went towards Trump and Republicans.
Okay. Hundreds of thousands, though, are still out there. And these are what happened. They were just in these drop boxes you were talking about. I mean, that's a lot of votes. That's a lot to be laying around, quite frankly.
Yeah, I was told that there were ballots delivered at 3 a.m. to one of the major voting tallying places, and there was no way to know how many ballots were in them. So when the Arizona Secretary of State announced, she thought there was 350, 400,000, there was no way for anyone to know. And then later, the Arizona Republic actually updated it at about 1 p.m. today to at least 600,000 ballots are outstanding. Here in Arizona, we've been doing mail-in ballots for years, 10 years now. And what happens is people request the mail-in ballot, they put it in the envelope, but many, many people wait until Election Day, take it to the polls, drop it in a box, and none of those are counted until after Election Day. I mean, they're still counting early ballots from late last week. They haven't even gotten into these ballots that were dropped off at the polls yesterday. So that's why Governor Ducey said it is way too early to count Arizona one way or the other because there's way too many ballots outstanding.
Okay, and this is important because if President Trump wins Arizona, he doesn't, and he holds on to Pennsylvania and North Carolina and Georgia, he won't need Wisconsin and Michigan, which are suddenly very, very complicated. I think that's the electoral map, and then he can win the presidency. But Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, thank you again. Let's keep in touch. This process, from your standpoint, is safe and sound, right? No funny business.
Well, there was some reports of funny business. So I had people email me. I'm having people email me that are contacting me, and I'm forwarding it to the lawyers because, I don't know if it's legit or not, but I want to make sure somebody checks it out. But in the meantime, I really think that President Trump has a real good shot of winning Arizona. And I'm not a delusional person. I'm not just saying this for the sake of saying it. This is real. I have talked to credible people. This is very real here in Arizona.
I believe you. I lived there, by the way. Yuma, one of the nicest times of my life. I had a real good time there, 4 years. Thank you, Congresswoman Lesko. To be continued, okay?
Thank you.
All right. And again, our co-MVP from last night, Mark Halperin, the political analyst. I think you and Sean Spicer, Mark, were the go-to people in the entire country. Seriously, your analysis was excellent last night. Mark, where do things stand right now? What are you thinking about? What are you worried about, not worried about? Where are you?
Well, look, the integrity of the process is paramount, and the president's facing some choices now. I think from Republicans I talked to, they'd rather see him let lawyers talk, maybe have a commander-in-chief like George W. Bush had with James Baker. But he faces an uphill battle. His biggest ally right now is that Joe Biden has not been given by the media 270 electoral votes. He made it clear today, Biden did, that he's not prepared to declare victory. So I think the president's team is trying to figure out a way in those 5 or 6 states that are still on the board. Can he find some way to show progress? And that's what a lot of Republicans on Capitol Hill want. They want to see every day the president's team do a briefing and say, here's what we found here today. Here's why Joe Biden should not be given that state. And in Arizona, as you were just discussing, that's the one that the Trump people are most emphatic about. They're baffled by why that state's electoral votes have been given to Joe Biden. They would like to claw those back and keep Biden from getting closer to 270 and, in fact, take him farther away.
And if that happens, the Congresswoman said that may not happen until Friday. We'll have closure. But I'm also seeing reports that we could have something significant tonight. What are you hearing?
Well, there's a lot of confusion because you've seen these outside analysts look at the ballots. You've even seen Nate Silver, who is no friend of the president, say he's baffled by why those electoral votes were rewarded. These news organizations, they're not the Lord Almighty. They don't get to pick presidents. They don't get to decide. And Joe Biden himself said that. He said it's not about the media, it's about the people. So the president's team is hoping right now to go to the path that I thought before the polls closed yesterday was his most likely. Find a way to slow the process down with lawsuits, find a way to slow the process down with maybe a recount in 1 or 2 states, and then try to get the votes in Pennsylvania counted fairly, and then try to get Arizona votes counted with the presidents, the propeller heads who work for the presidents, the data geeks. They say if the votes are counted in full, he's going to win Arizona, and that would give the president momentum. In theory, this shouldn't be about momentum or psychology. It should just be about counting the votes. But we learned in 2000 in Florida, it's a lot about momentum and psychology.
Sure. And you know what? I know some Trump people who are feeling a little dejected tonight, but I think that's exactly what the media want. And can you talk about that larger picture? Because as you know, and I don't think it received enough attention last night, that this really was a game changer of an election day. He was supposed to lose by a landslide. That didn't happen. You pointed out he had great support among Latinos, Black men, Black women, all these things. But the media, they're so invested in him losing because they don't like him, and they said he would lose.
That's right. I mean, look, the president and the party had an incredible day. The Democrats had a horrible day, but the president didn't come up in the first round here, in a path to 270 electoral votes. The dominant media, they've got a clear agenda. They don't like the president. They want him to lose, and they told the world he would lose. That means one amongst the many things the president has to battle. First is the math. I'd say second is the media and trying to get a fair shake. And that's why, again, a lot of Republicans would like to see the president's team every day put something before the media where they can't focus on trying to beat him. They have to focus on what they're saying. It's uphill, and he's his own worst enemy. These tweets, these bold claims that are just false aren't helping him in the view of most Republicans I'm talking to. They would like to see real votes, real progress, and a real case to the press to say, you don't control this process, the people do, and we're finding irregularities. They're having trouble coming up with those, but that's what they need. They need to make the case that these projections are just wrong, and Arizona is right now the one they're really focused on, because that would show them, that to show the public and the press they've got credibility here. Right now, that's not the way the press views what the president's trying to do.
Well, as you said, it's up to the people, and the press don't determine this thing, and they've been worried about his tweets since forever. And let's stay tuned. I'm actually feeling very optimistic. Mark, I know you're neutral on these things, and that's fine, but we appreciate so much your expertise. Fantastic job last night. You're not done, of course. Mark Halperin, political analyst. Thank you,
Greg.
sir.
Appreciate it.
You bet. You bet. All right, folks, stay with us. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Could this thing go to the Supreme Court? What would happen if it does? We'll have a scholar dropping by. That could happen. That could get very, very interesting. Also, wow, some real shenanigans from the media last night. Oh, we'll stop by Michigan as well. There's still hope there. Be right back.
Well, as you guys know, as goofy as I can be, I was talking without my microphone on and stuff. You guys know how I could be. But no, you know what? Listen, there are going to be people who watch this in the replay. There are people here now. We're all of one thing we have in common is we love this country, right? So there's going to be people who watch this who voted for President Trump. There's going to be people who voted for, Biden. There's going to be people who didn't vote at all. It doesn't matter. The one common thread should be the fact that we love our country. And so Karim KK Harris says, what will happen to America if Biden wins? Any thoughts? Yes, I believe that it will slam us into what would have been a slow dose of bad medicine. Okay. What would have been a slow dose, which could still be a slow dose of some bad stuff, would have been slammed. It would have been immediate. It would have been faster. It would have been, it would have been off the chain. Not to mention the fact that these folks have not hidden who they are. They've come right out and said they're going to stop the fracking. Which does harm a lot of people in a lot of communities who make their money and what our country is pretty much, one of our major things that bring revenue, our revenue stream. they've already said Kamala Harris said, I'm going to take every gun. Oh yeah. On the first day that I'm in there, when I win, I'm going to take all the guns, she said. So that, as well as the fact that they've already been purchased by other people. These folks are not in it to win it for themselves or for, their country or whatever. These folks have been purchased, right? And so when you consider somebody that has been purchased, you have a problem with the fact that you can't trust what it is that they've got, going, right? Maynard says that it is so heartbreaking seeing what this nation has become. I agree with that statement. But as long as there is the remnant, as long as those of us who know how to call upon the Father and pray, there is that hope. We can just band together. And you guys know I harp on prayer because it's worked for me in my life. That's why I always talk about it. I mean, just being, as childlike and innocent as I can with you guys. The reason why I tell you guys about it all the time and I mention it is because, let me tell you guys, it's an awesome God that can heal you and make you forgive a perpetrator or somebody who has harmed you. It's an awesome God who, cares about the small things in your life that you didn't think nobody else cared about. And you go out to the mailbox and he has taken care of something that you didn't even tell your best friend or your sister about, right? There have been occasions in my life personally where I would just pray and I would say, God, I don't know what to do about this situation, but I know you do. And I just trust you. And I would turn around and the things would be made right. He has made crooked paths in my life straight. He has taken, a lifetime of pain and has turned those things around. And so I have to believe him and I have to trust him. And in a childlike way, I always submit the offering of prayer because it's something that I have tried and it works, right? It's not like I'm a millionaire and let's just put it in the concept of a millionaire. If I were a millionaire and I could tell you how to make more millions, or I could tell you how to make your first million, you would possibly believe me because you see that I got millions. Well, let me tell you that there is somebody who has healed me in my life of harm, hurt, pain, despair, financial situations, all kinds of stuff that he's come through in a clutch. And nobody knew I was going through certain things but him. So that's why I say all the time, give it to him in prayer and leave it there with him. Our country needs our prayers right now. Our country, because we don't know what's going on behind those closed doors with anybody. What Demita gave to us today was some good information. What she brought to us today, that was some hope for our nation, right? Okay. That was some hope for our nation. And yes, they can keep that, Jackie. Excuse me, you guys. But the fact that I'm trying to drive home tonight is that I needed to let you guys see that because we had to have something break the monotony. Every time we turn on the TV, it's the negative, the negative, the negative, the negative. The one thing they have not talked about lately, which I'm sure if you probably turn on to a regular channel, is the Wuhan wiggle, as Monograph said. As he says, you know what I'm saying? Yes, Maynard. Without the Lord, I never make it in this world. Me either. Me either. And I'm not ashamed and I'm not afraid to say, you guys, in the middle of the night when I didn't have nothing, that I could call on him and he was there. I'm not ashamed to tell you. I'm not ashamed to say that when I didn't know where it was coming from, I look up and here he is, right? I'm not ashamed to tell you that I've been down to my last some days and he's come through. And you know what? Let me just say this. We have never gone without a meal. And there have been times when we have not had a dime, but I know who he is and I trust him. And so if I can trust him because of my life, I can tell you, you can trust him too. That's what it's all about. So that little bit of nugget that we had from that little channel just gave all of us a little something to chew on and gave us all just a little bit of something to hold on to, right? But in the interim, you guys, we're going to keep our eyes open. and we're going to continue to look at what is going on. But to Melinda Ann Burns, she says taking all of our guns just isn't going to work. This country is built on free thinking people. I'm going to read these. These are good things you guys got to say here. Melinda, that's a good one. She says, Sherry J says, Melinda, that is why they're trying to disarm us. You are right. That is so true. Jackie has some good stuff here. She says, peace comes from talking to our Savior. I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you. And David said, amen to Ed. That is a good thing too. I like you guys all communicating with each other and lifting each other up in your most holy faith. There is no other way to do it but that way. Karim says, amen. Yes, amen, sis. Yes, he has. I trust in God and live by faith. That's right. That's how we have to be. So you guys, we can build up. Let me tell you something. Do you realize that he says that where there are two or more gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst, I'll be right there. Why? Because he loves to inhabit the praises of his people. And it doesn't matter whether we are in this forum that we're in right now or whether we are in the same exact room. Don't you realize that the Holy Spirit can come on in? Don't you realize he's here right now because he's not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he should repent, and his word will not return unto him void. So don't you understand? He's right here right now. Oh, yes, he is. Yes, he is. You know it. You feel it. You know him. You know him. Y'all know him because we all have been down sometimes. We all have been down sometimes. Yes, yes, we have. But we know him when we feel him, and we know when his presence is near. We know when he's here, right? Yeah, we do. So you guys, I appreciate you all. Keep your eyes open over the night. If you go to sleep and you wake up in the middle of the night, just middle of the morning here, just look up and see what's going on. Check it out, but do not be moved by what you see. Just keep praying based on what you believe and based on what you know that God can do. If you don't know what to pray, you guys, just ask that his perfect will be done. And I'm going to tell you when you know you're not ready to let it go. When you're not ready to let something go, when you pray, God, let your will be done, you feel a little resistance that you don't want to let it go. That means you ain't let that thing go yet. And you're not trusting him yet. And that's okay because we've all been there. We've all been there. But when you feel that little bit of resistance, that little catch, you tell whatever that resistance is to get up under your feet. Get up. You tell that thing to get up under the subject. I command you to be under the subjection of the word of God. That's what you do. You put it under your feet and you tell it to get, and you get quick. When that doubt starts to settle in, you tell it to get. Go on now. You ain't got no place here. I command you to get up under the subjection of the word of God. You get up under the word. That's what you do. I'm going to step on you. That's what you do. You step on it. You step on that doubt. When that doubt comes, you let that doubt go. As for me and my house, we're going to have plenty because God is the head of our household. When that doubt comes and says, oh, you know you ain't got but 2 more weeks on your unemployment, you tell that doubt to get up out of here. God is my sustainer, the Most High, the Father, my Father in heaven, Abba, he is my sustainer. That's what you do. You got to talk yourself through some of this stuff sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You got to talk yourself through some of this. Don't let this stuff get you down. You tell this stuff where to get off. That's what you do. You control your environment. And if you know the word, you confess that word over your situations. Mothers, walk your house, pray in that word. If you can't say nothing but Jesus, if you can't say nothing but God, help me. If you can't say nothing but, oh, come on now, Father, do your will, Father. If you can't do anything but say, help me, you can believe that he hears you. If you ain't got no strength, and if you think that you're not, a lot of us, sometimes we've done some things where we feel like he can't even hear us. Sometimes we say, oh my goodness, I haven't prayed in so long. I feel bad coming to you asking. He loves to help his children. And if you are in a backslidden state, that's okay. Guess what? He's married to the backslider. He got you, boo. He got you. He got you on every front. So you guys, y'all be good. I love everybody. And I want to thank my guest, Demita, for bringing it in today. Thank you, Black Spring. As usual, you showed up and showed out. I appreciate you, ladies. Would you like to say anything before we leave?
I just want to say love prevails over all things. Sleep well. have faith, and be positive.
I love it. I love it. Black Spring.
Well, I think I don't know. I think I just want to wish everyone a great evening or a great morning rather. And I would say hold on to your faith, because I think that's the most unchanging thing that we have.
Yes. Yes.
And that's it.
That's it.
Thank you.
All
Thank you so
right,
much.
folks. Thank you guys for being with us. You know, we're going to meet up again real soon. The three of us ladies, I have just resigned myself that we are a team. I believe that each one of us brings something different to the table. We each have our own perspective, which is a blessing, because I believe that's what the world is. We are all different, but we are yet the same, right? And so love is the answer. That is absolutely right. So you guys come back and check us out again real soon. And hey, you guys have a sweet morning. Karim, KK Harris out there in the UK, have an awesome day. Everybody who's in a different time zone, my brother David, you know I love you. All of you all, take care of yourselves. Andrew, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Maynard, thank you so much. It's good to see you. Everybody that's here tonight, I'm trying to scroll back up and see so that I don't miss anybody. Okay, Kathy Latt, thank you for being here. Cherie J, thank you for being an active part of the chat and bringing some good information. And Jackie Koo, you know you are. You was just the OG today. And C Mac, speaking of OGs, this is one of my first mods of this channel, and I love her very much. I want to thank you for stopping in. That's a hardworking woman. So anytime she can stop in to say, hey, I appreciate it, because I know that she's busy, as you all are. So I just want to thank everybody for being here this morning, tonight, however you want to say it. Ed Whitson, thank you so much. You bring a lot to the table. Melinda Ann Burns, thank you so much for being here. Okay, you guys, y'all be blessed. Take care. And if I have missed anybody, please count it to my head and not my heart. Y'all take care, and everybody be good. I love all y'all. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.